On your marks, get set. Wait for it. Wait for it. Almost there. Boom! Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is, hold on a second. Wait a minute. This is Dr. David Snyder. Welcome to Secrets of Human Influence. How to get people to like, love, and trust you. The 4 pillars of irresistible human influence. Charismatic communication on command. How to win arguments and overcome objections. Oh, so easily. In fact, when you start to incorporate these techniques, you may be surprised that you don't have arguments anymore because you know exactly what to say and the way to say it to get people to want to do what you want them to do in the shortest amount of time possible. I'm Dr. David. I want to thank you all for your enthusiasm for showing up today. Let me just take a moment to make sure that I've gotten all of my my resources kind of lined out so nothing's overlapping or what have you. So real quick, before we get into the administrative stuff, quick question. How many of you are joining us for the first time? If you're joining us for the first time, type me in the chat, your name and where you're checking in from. Go ahead and type that in the chat because I want to know you. Not in the biblical way, of course, but I do want to know you, right? So DRM says, hi, David, I want to be good at hypnosis. What is the easiest way to hypnotize someone instantly? Have them pretend. Hello from UK. All right, cool. Now, if you're a veteran of Planet David, I want you to type your name, how long you've been bebopping around Planet David, and what do you love best about what we do here? I mean, if you've been around, because I'm going to put you guys to work in just a few, very shortly. You're going to be part of the webinar experience. First of all, before we get watching YouTube's butter product about 2 years ago, awesome. Miriam, been with you for about a year, cool, right? Jack, since 2014, we got some veterans in the house, yo. Thank you, thank you. This is actually a custom job. Now, why am I asking? Obviously, it's obvious why I'm asking about all the new people. The new people, you don't know David from Adam. Right? You're going to have questions, and that's cool because I love questions. If you've watched any of my early videos, a lot of people used to get frustrated because I would actually take the time to answer their questions, even if the question took us way off topic. I've learned a lot in those years, and so I've learned a little bit better about how to manage questions. So before I go into my other disclaimers, let me just, let me just kind of break this up a little bit. First of all, before we go any further, if you're brand new to Planet David, if politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best use of the next 2 to 3 hours, right? My intention is never to offend anyone, but I do have a lot of provocational tactic in my presentation style. And the reason for that is, as my students find out very, very quickly, you don't know you have a problem until it gets provoked, right? So if something I say gives you a strong emotional response, maybe out of proportion to the comment being made, that's something you should mark down. Notate where in your body you feel it, and then go to our YouTube channel, find videos on the transformational triad, the color breathing, the magic frame, and the energy spinning, and get rid of that shit once and for all, okay? The Secrets of Human Influence covers a massive, massive range of technique and information. So my promise to you in the time that we have together, if this is the scope of everything there is to learn in the field of influencing humans, we got time for this much. So my commitment, my promise to you in the time that we have is I will take you as far down that rabbit hole as I can. I will give you the most actionable skills available, easy, fast, user-friendly stuff that you can start applying immediately to start getting more yeses and agreements and compliance to the things you want in life. If you're tired of hearing no, this is a great place to start, okay? But I warn you, with great power comes a great responsibility. The best part, besides not having to believe any of this stuff, is that it is the absolute most honest, ethical, and desirable way for one human being to communicate with another human being. It's really, really cool. I built the entire system around never having to lie, cheat, deceive, manipulate in an unethical way anyone. These techniques are powerful. and they have the capacity to be misused. The best part about that is that as you learn these techniques, you become aware of what they feel like, what they look, and so people try to use them on you, you actually now have a greater degree of ability to protect yourself from unwanted, unethical influence. Is that a useful skill to have, to be able to detect when influence is being used on you and have greater degrees of choice? Is that something you might want more of? Cool, excellent. So, like I said, this is the scope of everything. We got time for this. I will take you as far down this rabbit hole that I can, and I will point you in the direction of where to go to take the next step, to level up your skills even more powerfully. Is that a fair trade? Just type in the chat if you think that's fair. Excellent. Okay, very cool. Let's circle back to the whole question and answer thing. I gave this answer a little bit in my pre-game warm-up, so to speak, but let me just reiterate it again. It's natural for you to have questions. I love questions. I really do. I believe that the better the question, the better the training. Unfortunately, when you're doing a webinar class like this, there's a structure that you kind of have to keep to. Our structure is known as a free form webinar. What that means is it comes in 3 parts. The first part is foundations, right? The second part is upgrading your skills, getting the ability, the support that you need to keep going. The third part is customization. Part 3, between part 1 and part 2, I'm going to give you a set of programs that we've put together that create a very synergistic way to level up your skills from the comfort of your own home. That's going to happen at about the 60 to 65-minute mark, give or take. Once that's done, we're going to circle back around to what we call the customization phase. And what does that mean? Part 1 is all about foundations. Simple, easy, understandable principles for how the human nervous system perceives influence, how it responds to influence, and how to get inside of people's hearts and minds in the most pleasurable way possible, right? In seconds, literally, in many cases, right? Part 3 is about how we take those foundations and we customize them to the applications that you most want to learn about. So if you want to learn about dating, we'll talk about that. If you want to learn about sales and marketing, we'll talk about that. If you want to learn about how to overcome resistance to the persuasion that you're giving, we'll talk about that, right? If you want to learn how to make people like, love, and trust you, bordering on love in as little as 20 minutes, we can talk about that. It will be your choice what direction our webinar goes from there, because this is all about you, right? This is your class. This is your webinar. Yeah, I have a format, but there's enough flexibility in the format to make sure that again, I have to go with majority rules, but to customize these things to what you want. The best part is the vast majority of the processes, regardless of the application you choose, are the same. So it's like the Swiss Army knife of human influence and persuasion. Does that sound like a plan? Does that sound like something you might want to do? Okay. So for those of you who are, I'm going to go to my PowerPoint in just a second here. But for those of you who are not familiar with David, you may be asking the question, well, who the heck is Dr. David and why should I care? First and foremost, I am an actual doctor of Chinese acupuncture and Oriental medicine. I've been a practicing clinician since 2005. I run a clinic with my wife in Solana Beach, where our specialty has been my specialty at least has been treating physiological illness that is caused by repressed emotion. Right? Most classically trained hypnotists and neurolinguistic programmers, they deal with behavioral issues, or they deal with weight loss or smoke cessation, something along those lines. My practice has never focused on those things. I've done 1 or 2 here and there, but the vast majority of the practice that I've dealt with has been treating illness, chronic and terminal disease, cancer, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, scoliosis, asthma, COPD, neuropathies, very deep, very complex physiological phenomena that is rooted in repressed emotion. And as you get deeper and deeper and deeper into the psychosomatics of the human system, you find out that pretty much every chronic issue has an emotional component that is either making it worse or keeping it from resolving. And so that work over those 15 years gave me tremendous insight into how human beings actually create their body and their lifestyle. We took that and we applied it to the other fields of study. And what other fields of study you may be asking are that? Well, first and foremost, I've authored over 50 15 different products on various forms of human influence, everything ranging from how to be a better therapist to how to attract the love of your life, how to close sales, how to write better, more persuasive sales copy, how to overcome objections, win arguments, and change belief in seconds through normal conversation. I've been an adamant student of body language, face reading, graphical analysis, and integrating these into very powerful user-friendly systems that allow people to create the most influence on any human being they choose in the shortest amount of time possible. So much so that in 2020, I was named the #1 NLP trainer of the year by globalgurus.org. I've been in the top 2 NLP trainer slots in Global Gurus rankings for the last 5 years, maybe a little longer. I don't keep track of it all that much. So I've been doing this a long time. I consider myself a human influence technician or technologist. And so everything I do is about getting people to make a change, to do something that I want them to do or that they want to do for themselves. What you're seeing here is a letter from globalgurus.org, and it says, Dr. David, it is with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for NLP, and NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. This letter is from 2020. I also received one for 2022 as well. So literally for the last 2-3 years, the program from which the techniques in this webinar are drawn, Killer Influence, has been the #1 ranked persuasion and influence NLP training system in the world. So what you're getting is world-class stuff. It has stood the test of time. There is no theoretical fluff in this webinar. Everything that I'm going to share with you, everything I'm going to teach you has been proven hundreds and thousands of times, not just by me, but by my students and people who watch our YouTube channels all over the world. You're going to get the world-class stuff, the stuff that you can take right out into the world and start using immediately. So this is a copy of the Global Gurus page, and you can see here NLP Power and Killer Influence was ranked the #1 amongst all these different programs. So I'm really proud of that. And I just wanted to share that with you so you know that I'm only giving you the best stuff. Okay. I'm also a lifelong martial artist. I hold a 10th degree black belt in Okinawan karate. I have a 4th degree black belt in Okinawan Shaolin Kun Tao, a 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo Ryu Karate, as well as a 1st degree black belt in Fanku Ryu Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a certified instructor in combat sistema, Cinco Mano Eskrima, modern arnis, and I have more energy healing credentials than McDonald's sells hamburgers. I've been a Reiki master since before Reiki was cool. I'm a lifelong student of the Kabbalah. I was studying Kabbalah before Madonna ever even heard of Kabbalah. So I'm very much a prima donna, but be that as it may. I'm an advanced pranic healer and pranic psychotherapist, advanced DNA theta healer. I'm certified in the Bankston healing system, and I have studied many, many different forms of medical Qigong. In fact, I'm actually doing a 2nd doctorate now in Chinese Qigong medicine, energetic medicine, under Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson. So I was a doctor of Qigong as well. So when people see this list, they're like, either he's the world's biggest braggart, he's full of shit, or he's trying to compensate for something. I'll let you figure out exactly where the truth lies. But people may be asking when they see this laundry list, okay, why is this important? Why is this relevant? Well, the first thing is because of what these things have in common. And that first thing is pattern recognition. You see, everything human beings do, from the way they move, to the way they talk, to the way they think, to the way they create every subjective experience they have. And let me jump out of my PowerPoint really quick just to talk about this. Every subjective experience that a human being has, that they create, every thought, every memory, every daydream, every desire, every fear, has a structure. That structure equals a pattern. And once you understand what that structure is and how to recognize it, influencing human beings, yourself or others, becomes amazingly simple. Amazingly simple. It's so simple it's almost unfair, but it's not. In that when you do this right, you never have to worry about lying, cheating, or being deceptive, because it's never needed. You never need to resort to those kinds of things. But human beings, everything human beings do has a structure to it. And that structure, that process generates a body feeling. That body feeling is what causes people to move towards or away from things. So the first rule I want you to get, and if you haven't started writing things down yet, this is probably the first thing that you want to write down. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So when people ask, what do all these things, pattern recognition, what does that have to do with human influence? Pretty much everything. Because once you can perceive the structure, you know exactly what they're going to do next, or have a really good idea of what they're going to do next. And you know exactly what point in their process to inject a change or inject information that causes them to from their own volition, from their own idea, do what you want them to do, right? Okay, so let's talk about, is this the right place for you? So we talked about a few things, but let's kind of go a little further. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to ramble off some things. And if any of these things applies to you, just type "that's me" in the chat room, or "I want that" in the chat room. So by a show of active participation in the chat room, how many of you would like to become super attractive to the opposite sex, make them find you charming, fascinating, irresistible? Go ahead and type that in the chat. If you'd like to stop being afraid, if you'd like to banish fear and insecurity from your life, radiate confidence and assertiveness, and if you like the word alpha, maybe truly radiate that power to be truly alpha. If that's something you want in your life, type it in the chat, right? If you'd like to make more money at your job, book more clients, help your clients be more successful. If you're a coach or a therapist or a hypnotist, or even a massage therapist for that matter, if you'd like more, type that in the chat, right? If you work for somebody else, but you're always getting passed over for promotions or job or pay raises, and you'd like to have the master keys to getting any job you want, getting any promotion you want in the shortest amount of time possible, type that in the chat. If you would like to protect yourself from manipulators and easily handle difficult people, get them to want to do the things you want them to do, type that in the chat if you think that's relevant to you. If you'd like to program yourself for massive financial abundance with more than enough money to buy the things you want and then some, type that in the chat. Because with the things I'm going to share with you in tonight's webinar, all of that and more is possible. Okay? If you'd like to cause people to like and admire you, trust you, and even love you, type it in the chat, right? If you'd like to inspire your employees, lead your teams better, get your children or your spouse to actually do what you want them to do when you want them to do it, type that in the chat. If you'd like to be able to speed read people and know in just a short amount of time if they're high quality friend material, if they're people that you're going to be able to like and love and trust yourself, type that in the chat. Okay? Because if you really understand the things I'm going to share with you, those things and more are possible for you. See, people are saying their sound is too low. I'm going to turn up my microphone just in case. Does this make it better or worse? Type that in the chat. Does this make it better or worse? Better? Okay. All right. Somehow it looks like my gain on my microphone got turned down. Way better? Excellent. All right. So, does that sound like something that you'd like to do? Something you'd like to play with? All right. So let me go back to my PowerPoint for just a minute. I don't like PowerPoints by trade. I actually use OneNote more than I use PowerPoint because I feel that I get a better connection with you and you get a better connection with me when you can actually see my face. So I will use the PowerPoint from time to time for emphasis, but I would much prefer to just look at you face to face if that's okay. Is that better for you guys? What do you think? Talk to me. Oh yeah, okay, perfect, excellent. All right, so here's my personal promise to you. If you stay until the end of tonight's webinar, I am going to teach you the fastest, most powerful, most ethical way to influence anyone to like, love, and trust you, and often obey you in the shortest amount of time possible. And I'm going to teach you how to do it ethically and honestly in a way that they actually thank you for doing it. Would that be cool? Right? I'm going to show you how to have people hanging on your every word. It is such a ridiculously easy thing to do. One of the things that will happen when you apply this secret is that no matter where you go, perfect strangers will suddenly find you the most fascinating conversationalist they've ever met. And from within that framework, from within that connection that you create, you'll be able to steer the conversation, mine them for information that allows you to link the things that you want them to do to the things they most want. So that they just want to do it off their own selfish desires, right? I'm going to teach you how to have them literally salivating to do what you want them to do and thanking you for the opportunity to do it, right? I want to teach you how to control your emotions and remove resistance to your influence so that when people say, I don't want to do that, I'm going to teach you, if it's something you guys want to learn, a simple conversational framework that allows you to cause your subjects or the target of your influence to generate their own reason for wanting to do the things that they just told you they didn't want to do. Would that be useful, do you think? I have teenagers and pre-teenagers, so I'm going to tell you it's hella useful, right? And finally, I'm going to give you the exact steps you need to take to go from interesting information to maximum unstoppable persuasion in the shortest amount of time possible. Does that sound like a plan? Are you okay with that? Is that okay? So what are we going to cover in tonight's webinar? First and foremost, we're going to talk about the secret back door to the human nervous system, a simple language tactic that if you apply it will literally force a person's nervous system to pay attention exclusively to you. Okay, I'm going to teach you the secrets of emotional bonding and attraction, how to literally open up a person's heartstrings, figure out what they most want and need, and in an ethical, honest way, connect what you want them to do to what they most want in their heart of hearts, and keep them connected to it so they're literally salivating to work with you and do what you want them to do. And you can give them exactly what they want, exactly the way they want it. That's right. So if you're in any kind of therapy business, sales business, networking, this one secret is probably one of the single most important profitability creating, relationship stability creating processes you can have. I have not found a single form of human interaction or context in which this does not create profound change. I mean, profound change. It's very simple to do. Again, everything in this webinar is actually quite simple. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people, especially experts out there, don't want you to know it, because it gives them an extreme advantage over people who can't recognize these skills. I'm going to just give it to you, right? So that you can go out and start creating the life that you want instead of the life everybody else wants you to have. Does that sound like a fair trade? If you get to be able to create the life you want instead of the life that everybody around you wants you to have? Is that useful? By the way, I'm a whore for feedback, so I'm going to keep asking you, is that useful? Is that okay? Do you get that? I'm always going to be taking your temperature. Why? Because I want you to know I'm paying attention. All right? I'm going to give you a secret. When it comes to any kind of relationship, you should write this down. Attention is the currency of relationships. Let me repeat that a couple of times. Attention, positive attention, is the currency of relationships. One more time with feeling. Attention is the currency of relationships. I wrote a course many, many years ago on human sexuality and how to be any partner's ideal lover the first time that you're together. And I devoted an entire chapter to this one concept: pay attention. Because if you can pay attention to the human in front of you, everything that you need to know to influence them to do what you want them to do will come out. It may not always come out through their words, but it will come out through their body, through their eyes, through their gestures. Attention, attention, attention. And when you start utilizing these techniques, the level of attention that you pay to this person and how they feel, which is the real key, how they feel as the target of that attention, just it exponentiates the rapport that you have and the connection and the trust. People won't want to give up their relationship with you. Don't believe anything I'm telling you. Have fun with the webinar, take the skill sets, test them, and then come back and tell me what you discover. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about something I call the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence and how to remove that resistance to influence. So you can finally take control and get the life you want the way that you want it. So you guys ready to jump in? Yes or yes, as T. Harv Eker would say. Hold on a second, let me see where we're at in terms of participants. Okay, good. All right, so let me go to a slide really quick because I want to give you kind of an overview of what we're going to do today. Is we're going to kind of take a sample platter approach. We're going to take a few techniques from a larger system that I created many, many years ago. And I'm going to go deep dive into those pieces so you can just take them out into the world and apply them immediately. But I want you to understand that there is a full system connected to the pieces you're going to get. So let me show you this really quick. So what you're seeing here is what we call the CPI killer influence system. I believe it should be to the right of your screen. I could be wrong. You should see a little target diagram. It says know your outcome, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage their state, jump into their process, link to their criteria and values. How many, does everybody see that? Type it in the chat if you see it. Okay. What you're seeing here is what we call, it's the core of the CPI and killer influence system. This is called the universal persuasion protocol. Let me repeat that. The universal persuasion protocol. What this is a formula that you follow that allows you to influence people anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, for any reason. How many of you have ever gotten into a situation where you want to influence or persuade somebody and you have absolutely no idea where to start or what to do next? Type in the chat if that's ever happened to you. Okay, Delilah said, yep. Gina says, yep. Federico says, a lot. Happens to me, yep, always, right? That just went out the window because this is what you do in any situation where you seek to influence another human being. The first thing you want to do is know what you want, know your outcome, right? And Elaine says, well, yes, with myself. Exactly. Guess what? It doesn't matter if it's on yourself or on another human being because you all have a nervous system and they all work the same way. So the first thing you got to know is know what you want and how you're getting it. It's that simple. That's why it's 0. You can't even begin this process if you don't have that, right? It's the platform. So you got to know what you want, right? And let me elaborate on this. I wasn't going to elaborate too much, but this kind of gets people stuck, especially if you spend a lot of time over-educating yourself on neuro-linguistic programming, which I love, by the way, right? NLP has changed my life, but I usually take issue many times with the way the system is taught. Most people who learn it, after they come out of the seminar, can't actually use it. They come out going, man, I learned all this amazing stuff. Now what? And they have no idea where to start. Why? Because that little diagram that I just showed you is missing from their training. It's a roadmap for influence and persuasion. It's a roadmap that allows you to know exactly what to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth, right? And it doesn't matter the context. But let's go back to this whole outcome thing. In NLP, they have this thing they call keys to an achievable outcome, which is like a 5 or 6 step process where you have to become super specific on certain things. I often make a lighthearted joke, which is true enough to be true. To err is human. To really complicate things, you need a neuro-linguistic programmer. Okay? Jeffrey Gilbert says, can I show that again? Yes, I can. Right? That's the protocol right here. So the first thing you want to do is know your outcome. Now, when we talk about knowing our outcome, it's knowing what we want and how we know we're getting it. So when you think about what you want, what specifically do you have to see or hear or smell or taste to know you're moving in that direction, right? In the course I wrote on sexuality many years ago, there was a chapter in that course called How to Make Any System of Attraction or Seduction Work for You. And the first thing was what we call sensory acuity. And that means the ability to pay attention to the person in such a way that you can measure if they're moving towards what you want or away from what you want. Now, I'm not going to make you go through the 5 different or 6 different characteristics of an achievable outcome that NLP teaches. It's overkill for what most of us want. What do you want? How do you know you're getting it? It's that simple, right? Do you want to make a friend? Okay. How do you know when this person's going to be your friend? Is it when they give you their phone number? When they spend a lot of time with you? How are you going to know, right? It's that simple, right? You want to make more, you want a job promotion. How are you going to know you're going to get it? Well, they gave you the job, right? It's that simple. Don't overthink it, because if you overthink shit, you won't take any action. And that, again, is one of the problems that NLP tends to install in its practitioners. Again, don't shoot the messenger, right? One of the problems is we tend to spend too much time thinking and not enough time taking action. Right. So my job is to give you the bare minimum stuff that you need to get out into the world, take a step and get a response and get a result. Is that useful? Would that be helpful? Do you think? Okay. Yeah, way overthink. So anyway, I'm going to get off my little soapbox on the NLP world. I still do practitioner certifications, but to get into my NLP training, you actually have to be a great hypnotist first. Because if you can do hypnosis the way I teach you, you can rock any NLP technique in front of you. Like that, right? So NLP is often the last thing I teach because it's the last thing people need. Even though a lot of our NLP is actually embedded within our other trainings, we just don't tell you it's NLP. So by the time you get to the NLP class, it's almost anticlimactic because you're already a master of all the core skills. So it's like, oh, I can do that. Boom. In fact, most of the time, little anecdote, most of the time when my advanced students get to the NLP training and I start teaching them the NLP curriculum, they look at me with this confused look on their face and they say, why don't we just spin that? Because that's not in the original curriculum, right? It's just one of those, and it gets like, no, we got to teach you what we're taught. So, we honor our lineage, but at the end of the day, we want to constantly keep growing and evolving. And to me, a truly advanced technique means it makes things easier, not more complicated or sophisticated, if that makes sense. Higher levels of technology should make your life easier, not harder, right? Or be more context specific. I'm going to get off my soapbox again. Okay, let's go back. And so knowing what you want is the first thing. Like when we teach you language patterns, we're going to talk about language patterns a little bit in this course. If you don't have an outcome in mind, you can't even begin, right? So let's assume we've done that. All right, let's go back to our diagram. So we've got our outcome, right? We know what we want. The next thing I want to do is I want to control my state. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Period. Every form of human behavior begins and ends with moving towards or away from something. Now, when we control your state, you need to go into the psycho-emotional state that is going to give you access to your mental, physical, and emotional resources to deliver a persuasion message. It's actually quite easy. The fastest way to control your posture or to control your state is to control your posture and your breathing. How many of you have ever heard of power poses by a researcher named Amy Cuddy? Anybody? Type it in the chat if you've learned it, right? We've been doing in the killer influence and CPI systems, we've been doing far more advanced posture work than Amy talks about in her research. But, and I need to give Dr. Cuddy full credit for this, she actually did the scientific research. We knew from day one that everything human beings do is in response to a feeling, and your feelings literally control your reality. We'll talk about that. We'll talk if we may or may, yeah, we'll actually talk about it a little bit in this training, but we'll talk about it a lot more in the persuasion trainings, as well as hidden laws of attraction, which is a manifestation training. you've all heard of the reticular activating system. It's a part of your brain that actually modulates what you pay attention to. And so if I walk into a room, for example, and there are 10 data points in that room that I can pay attention to. If I'm in a good positive state or mood, when I enter that room and 8 of those data points are positive and 2 are negative, intuitively, what do you think I'm going to orient on first? If I'm in a positive mood, what do you think? Type it in the chat. This is the participate. It's called the reticular activating system. RAS for short. Right, the 8 positive data points. If I walk into that room in a shitty mood, what do you think I'm going to pay attention to? Right? What if I told you it was actually possible to influence another human being's reticular activating system non-verbally from across the room with their back turned? What if I told you that was possible? Would you believe me? It's absolutely possible, right? Because you have this thing called mirror neurons. So here's my point. That reticular activating system is a perceptual filter. What it does is it cherry picks the data points in your reality. Come to CPI and Killer Influence is one that you'll learn it the first day. It literally cherry picks your reality. So if I can connect with your neurology and generate a positive body feeling in you, your reticular activating system will become sensitive to that, and it will reorient what you pay attention to in the external environment so that it's in harmony with the verbal message you want to deliver. Right? If you've ever wanted a fast track for making a good first impression, this is actually part of it. We teach this day one as well. So what's the fastest way to change another human being's state? Here's the answer. Change yours first. Mirror neurons take over and a person automatically begins to reflect the emotional states that you're embodying, right? How many of you have ever heard the statement, emotions are contagious? Anybody? Type it in the chat. This is how you leverage that phenomenon, by learning how to control your state. And that means in our world to be able to enter or exit any emotional state at will, on demand, in any sequence that you want. And everything follows from there. So when you enter a persuasion situation, the first thing you learn that you have to do after you know your outcome, you got to control your state. Then once you have control of your state, you intentionally get rapport with that subject or that object of your attention. You use whatever language skills you have to manage their state. Okay? You use your rapport, your state control, your rapport, and your language to manage the state of the subject. You jump into and utilize whatever mental or physiological process they use to make or generate the behavior you want them to make, and you connect it to their emotional values and desires and beliefs, right? So if we go back to our diagram, what are we going to do? We enter a bar, we see someone we think is interesting. The first thing I'm going to do is decide what I want. I'm going to control my state. I'm going to get rapport. I'm going to use my language skills. I'm going to manage the state of the subject. I'm going to jump into their process. I'm going to link to their criterion values. Right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a little repetition game so that we really drive this home. We're going to cross-contextualize. So let's say I am a therapist. I'm about to go in to work with a client. What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to decide what I want. I'm going to help this person get what they want. I'm going to control my state. I'm going to get rapport with the client. I'm going to use my language skills to manage the state of the subject so they will be in the mood to do what I want them to do and be willing to do what I want them to do. I will jump into whatever process they use that allows them to engage in the behaviors I want them to make. and I will bond to their deeply held values, their emotions, the things that drive them. Let's say I'm going to teach a class, right? Class full of fifth graders. What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to know what I want. I'm going to get rapport. I'm going to control my state. I'm going to get rapport. I'm going to use my language skills. I'm going to manage the state of the room. I'm going to jump into whatever process they use, and I'm going to bond to the things they most want so that they get what they want by doing what I want. The longer I can keep somebody connected that way, the more they will tend to do what I want them to do by default. By default, okay? So let's say for a moment that I am going to go into a networking meeting and I see someone whose connection I want to make, right? Who I want to remember me. I'm going to know my outcome. I'm going to make an impression, a good impression on this person, and they're going to want to do business with me. Simple, right? I'm going to control my state. What state do I need to be in? Who do I need to be to project the resources that I need to do this? I'm going to get rapport with that subject. I'm going to use my language skills, whatever they might be, to manage the state of the subject, right? I can't control another person's emotional state, but I can dramatically influence and manage it. By changing what I do and how I present myself, I can navigate and direct their emotional content, right? You can't ever fully control how a person interprets what you say, but you can significantly influence it. That's why if you look at the diagram, it's state management instead of state control. The only person whose state you can ever fully control is you, okay? So, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to jump into whatever process they use, and I'm going to show you really butthead simple ways to do this. It's really crazy. And then I'm going to bond to what they most want and give it to them in a way that they recognize it, okay? In a way that they recognize it. So repeat after me. Control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage their state. Jump into their process. Bond to their criteria and values. Once again, control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage their state. Jump into their process. Bond. Values. If you understand that sequence, you can initiate influence anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, for any reason. What does rapport mean? It means create a connection, an openness, and a receptivity in the other person so that they are willingly interacting and engaging with you, that they are predisposed to trust and like you. Now, I don't necessarily need them to like me, but I do need them to be open. And once you have openness, it's very easy to get the other stuff, right? Now, what's cool is by the time you're done, you will have a handful of techniques that do all of that. You won't need a whole palette. We have a whole system, but I'm going to give you just the nuclear nuts, some nuclear nuts and bolts for letting you do this, okay? Before I do that, I wanted you to understand that there's a full system at play here that goes well beyond this, but this is the core, right? If you don't know what to do, you don't know how to do it, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage their state, jump into their process, bond to their emotional values and belief systems. Does that make sense? If you're with me so far, type it in the room, type it in the chat. Is this helpful? Does this give you a map to follow? Okay, good. I absolutely can. I've actually been doing it since I got on the webinar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you key pieces that if you just apply the key pieces, the rest will take care of itself. It's almost like a done for you kind of a process. So let's talk about how to learn this stuff really, really quick. How many of you, by a show of that's me in the chat, would like to be up to 30 to 31, 33% better at everything? Anybody? Okay. I'm glad you said that. So here's all you got to do. Take everything that I teach you and apply a playful, fun-loving, explorational, let's see what happens kind of a mood, right? The studies show that when you approach any subject with a playful, explorational, curious-based, let's see what happens, easygoing energy, you are up to 31% more intelligent, more adaptable, more perceptive, more aware. And if you're using this in a persuasion context, big one, if you're using this in a persuasion and influence context, your counterpart, the person you are seeking to influence, is up to 31% more compliant. In other words, you have a 31% better chance of them doing what you want them to do. Now, that statistic, that finding comes from, wait for it, hostage negotiation. Can you think of a more tense situation than negotiating with a terrorist or a kidnapper, right? So what do you think? What do you think your success rate would be if you could get your boss, the person evaluating you for the job or for the pay raise, to be 31% more compliant and likable and amenable to you? You think you might get a raise? You think you might get a promotion? What if that's where you started? What if I could show you how to hack it even further? Would that be okay? Would this go well with dark seduction? Well, first of all, why would you do dark seduction? You don't need to do dark seduction. You just got to make people have fun with you and connect with you. Okay. Cyndi Lauper said it best. Girls just want to have, type it in the chat, right? The more fun a person's having, the more of their defenses go down, right? I use the word seduction from time to time in my marketing because it gets people's attention. But I don't, as a rule, I don't like the word seduction, right? Because when I was researching the definition, it basically implied you're enticing people to do things that are not in their best interest. And I just don't believe that that's how we should move through the world. I think you should move through the world attracting people who think you're the coolest thing since sliced bread, and they get everything they want from doing what you want. If that makes any kind of sense, right? Again, a lot of people put these titles on books to sell books. I'm not going to pass judgment on that, right? Marketing is a lot of seduction, right? I'm going to give you very, very powerful, ethical, usable ways to get everything you want in such a way that you can actually go to sleep at night and feel good about the day you've led or the life you're leading, right? And you don't have to believe a single thing that I'm teaching you. All you've got to do is do it. I'm really, in a playful way, I'm serious. All you got to do is do it. And I challenge you to try and make it fail, right? So understand, take everything that I'm going to share with you over the next 2-3 hours, whatever it is. Wrap it in a playful exploration. Let's go do this and let's see if David's full of shit or not. Go out and play with it and see what happens, right? That's the first thing. Can we do that? Do I have your promise that you will take everything I tell you to do in this webinar and follow the instructions to go out and actually play with it? Play with it. Please, if I have you, again, I'm good at what I do, but I can't multiply zeros. If you're not going to take the actions, you might as well click away now, right? Okay, now, what if you had the ability to have people literally hanging on your every word? That, by the way, by show of hands, how many of you here hate small talk? Anybody? Okay. What if there was a simple language hack that would allow you to do two things simultaneously? One, eliminate the need to make small talk, and B, cause someone to immediately start to like, love, and trust you and have them hanging on your every word, thinking you're the most fascinating conversationalist they've ever met. Would that be useful? What if there was one technique that did all that and more? Liam's got it, right? We call it dun, da, 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 the echo technique. So write this down and emblazon it in backwards on the inside of your eyelids. So every time you go to sleep at night, You see it in glowing golden letters, the echo technique, okay? The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the ones that just came out of their mouth. Cross-contextually, the most powerful words any human being can hear are the ones that just came out of their mouth, right? You can see me do this live in action on my YouTube channel. Go to my early videos where I'm teaching the echo technique. Inevitably, somebody in the audience challenges me. And if you pay attention, you will hear me echo back their exact words for 2-3 minutes, and they don't catch it. Because that's the first that was the first question, for those of you who this is new for, that was the first question that came up in your mind. Well, they'll catch me doing that. No, they won't. I challenge you to get caught. But here's the secret. You got to do it sincerely from a certain perspective. So I'm gonna go to my notes now and give you the full teaching for this webinar on the echo technique, which is how to get maximum attention from any human being in the shortest amount of time possible. You guys ready? Okay, perfect. Here we go. All right, pull this down. All right, so the echo technique, the most powerful way to communicate with human beings, it literally, guys, when you do this, it literally forces a person's neurology to pay specific attention to you, very often to the exclusion of everything else. How many of you have ever been at a party? It's loud, it's noisy, there's lots of people, and from across the room, somebody says your name to somebody else, and you turn around and look. Anybody ever had that experience? Yes or yes? Okay. Why did that happen? How did that happen? It's because your unconscious mind, which never sleeps, never takes a break, is constantly scanning the environment for anything that relates to you. So when a person speaks, that spoken language has passed through every single layer of their nervous system. It is a perfect key to lock fit to every thought process that they have. It's almost like, you guys know what a sonar is, or a radar? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You're in a submarine that's sending out little sound waves, and those sound waves go out and they bounce off something and they come back, and as soon as it comes back, the system reinterprets it and makes an image. Your nervous system is constantly scanning the environment. It's pinging a map, a model of itself out into the world, and it's looking for the matches. It's looking for the things that are in resonance with the map of who you are and what's right and desirable in your world. The words that you speak have been filtered through that entire system. So the moment they come back, it's a perfect key to lock fit to everything the nervous system is scanning the environment for. And the moment your system perceives it, they lock in on it. And what happens is the person who has heard their own words come back to them starts to feel understood, heard, validated, approved of, connected with. And that starts a cascade of processes in a person that deepens and amplifies rapport. One of the things you'll discover that the minute you hit somebody with this echo technique, they start running off at the mouth. How many of you noticed when you actually applied the echo technique out in the real world, the person started talking more and more and more, wouldn't shut up? Anybody? Type it in the chat. Me, right? Okay. Yeah. Yoka, I can talk about the three. I've talked about the 3 levels report in another video. If I start talking about it here, we're going to go off in a way direction and we won't get to the techniques I need to get to. But we'll put a pin in it. I promise we'll talk about it in another video. Okay. The 3 levels of rapport that they're referring to starts with classic rapport, coherence, and what we call vibing. Right. Different types of rapport are used for different applications. Okay. Katanya says, I didn't realize it. Yeah. Should I do this all the time? What if I want to have an organic, natural conversation? You'll still be having an organic, natural conversation. The difference will be that the person you're communicating with will feel like they've absolutely been heard by you, understood by you, approved by you, and they will bond with you and give you even more information. Your job, once you've initiated that process, is to guide the conversation from within it. Okay, and again, we teach you how to do that in the full class. We can't do that here, but we can give you the echo technique, and we can give you the red hot nuclear powered building blocks that will let you just start to begin this process anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. And that's my job. I'm not here to teach you the full system. If you want to get access to the full system, I'll show you how to do that in part 2. But if you don't need any of that to be successful immediately. Okay, and that's what I want. I want something that you can grab a hold of, take out into the world, to start using it anywhere language is involved. Texting, video, Zoom, phone, email, any place where language is involved. Okay, this technique works more than it doesn't. And if it irritates you when it's being done, it's because the person is either not doing it well, or they're doing it from the wrong mindset or attitude. Okay. A lot of people in the classical NLP world will say if you're caught matching and mirroring somebody, it will annoy them. That's not actually true. It only happens if you stop doing it. If you keep doing it, eventually their system acclimates and they stop paying attention and they go right in. It goes right in, right? Most people haven't really tested this stuff. They just take what they were taught at face value. So let me go back over the echo technique, and I'll do a quick solo demo for you so you can understand this. So this literally primes your target. First of all, the beautiful thing about the echo technique, and we'll talk more about this when we get to 3 magic questions, is that it virtually eliminates small talk and boring conversations. Because when you start doing this with somebody, 80% of that conversation will come out of the other person's mouth. All you have to do is echo and ask another question. I'm going to give you what I call the master echo sequence. This is a formula that you follow when you're doing this out in the real world. And it's worth its weight in gold if it had weight, right? Okay. So it also primes your target to keep talking and give you more and more and more information about themselves at the same time. Remember, information is attention. Attention is the currency of relationships. The longer they talk, the more attractive and trusting and connected to you they become. It automatically makes your listener feel heard, understood, and accepted. It raises their feeling of personal validation, and it raises your social status. Okay? It matches every internal filter that they have and indirectly links to deep emotional needs. There's 2 ways you can tap into people's value systems. Attention is the currency of relationships, Katanya. Okay? This is why we're sluts for social media, right? It matches every internal filter that they have. Okay? All right. So how do we actually apply this? All right. Well, first thing, just use their words verbatim whenever you can. But if you want a little deeper training on this, this is called the master echo sequence. I'm going to do a demo for you in just a second, and then we're going to talk about emotional bonding. But I want you, when I do the emotional bonding part, I want you to pay attention and notice how many times I use this. Okay. So here's how it works for you. When you're out in the field, when you see somebody that you want to interact with, you go up to them, you ask a question, you pay attention to their response, you validate their response, you echo their words, you ask another question. Let me repeat that 3 times for you. Master echo sequence. Again, I'm all about formulas to follow, recipes that give you the greatest yield to your investment. You ask them a question. This opens them up. You pay attention to their response. You validate the response they give you. You echo their words. You ask again. Let me do this face to face. One more time with feeling. You ask a question. You pay attention. You validate their response. You echo their words. You ask another question. This creates a structure, but it also allows you to create an organic conversation by asking questions that move the conversation in the direction you want it to go. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me so far? Is this useful? Okay, all right. So when I'm back in my, you guys saw it earlier when I went through my bio, right? That I've been a lifelong martial artist, right? And when I was just starting in the NLP world, but I knew enough about criterion values and the power of a person's very own words that I started integrating this into my phone conversations when my prospective clients would call from my martial arts studio. And I had competitors a half a mile in every direction, right? So the phone would ring and the call would literally go something like this. Now pay attention as I do this to how much of the master echo sequence I use. It goes, ring, ring. Good afternoon, Coral Springs Martial Arts Academy. This is David. How can I help you? Oh, hi, David. My name is Bernice Jones, and I'm interested in karate lessons for my 10-year-old son, Josh. Oh, hey, Bernice. Nice to meet you. So you're interested in karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Yeah. Don't laugh. That's what they say. It's like all of a sudden they just read their mind, even though they just heard it, right? Yeah. Josh is a really great kid, and he's super smart. In fact, he's so smart that his teachers have decided to move him up a grade, and I think that's great. But honestly, I'm a little nervous. Josh is not a big kid. He's kind of small for his age, and he's going to be in a higher level class with bigger kids, older kids, and I'm worried that the bigger kids might pick on him. And I've heard that martial arts was not only good for protecting yourself against bullies and stuff like that. I also heard that it was good for concentration, focus, self-confidence, and I was really hoping that maybe martial arts could help my son Josh. Oh, I see, Bernice. So Josh is a really great kid, but he's small for his age. He's so smart that his teachers actually moved him up a grade in with kids that are bigger and taller than him, and you're afraid that they might pick on him. And you had heard that martial arts was a great way to protect yourself against bullies and develop confidence and self-esteem. And you're absolutely right. Martial arts for centuries has been a way for smaller people to defend themselves and protect themselves against bullies, to develop greater levels of confidence, concentration, and self-esteem and focus. And we have a class that's designed exactly for kids like Josh, that will help them become more confident, more focused, more able to protect themselves from those bullies. So Josh can feel good going to school and knowing that he has the tools, and you'll feel good because Josh will be able to actually stand up to people who want to push him around, and he'll have that focus and that concentration that you're looking for. So Bernice, wow, David, that sounds amazing. What do I do next? Well, it's great. All you got to do, we have, like I said, we have a special program for kids like Josh that's designed to impart all those qualities that we just talked about. It comes with 2 private lessons and 1 group class and a free uniform. And he gets to come in one or more with an instructor, learn some real cool self-defense techniques and things. And then we'll put him in a group class with a guide, someone kind of like a buddy, who will go through the class with him so he can see how that all integrates. And the kids love it. They have a good time, and they get to really start to internalize all those amazing qualities of being able to stave off bullies, being able to be more focused and concentrated. I have a slot available today at about 5:30 that we can put him in, or would tomorrow at around 6 be better for you? Let me think. I think maybe 5:30 today would be good, because I could have him come home. I can have him do his homework, eat dinner, and then bring bring him in. I think I'll see you today. Okay, great. Let me take your name and phone number. We'll pencil you and Josh in. You're welcome to watch the class, or if you want, you can just drop him off. We encourage the parents to watch the class, but sometimes the kids feel, a little odd with the parents staring at there. So it's really up to you. You decide to discuss it with Josh, what makes him feel best, and we'll see you at 5:30. Right? You have a great day. Thank you, David. Click. 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people, they show up. Right? Now, what did you notice? Would less info repeated still have worked? Possibly. One of the things I want you to err on, though, is overuse of it. so you can see the effect, right? Validation, how many times, that was a beautiful conversation, thank you, right? How much of what David said was different from what Bernice said, right? You're absolutely right. A couple of times I actually got it out of sequence. Did it matter? Right? For years, I didn't have a sequence. Exactly. You never have to sell when you do this. Why? Because every time you talk to them, you're talking about the things they most want. You don't have to sell them something somebody wants. They're going to ask you to buy it. Does that make sense? But again, don't believe me. Go out into the world, apply the formula, right? Would you like to experience a little bit of what Bernice got? Yes or no? Yes or yes, as T.I. Record would say. Okay. For this, you're going to need a pencil and paper. This next technique is called the emotional bonding checklist. In the echo technique, we stimulate a person's emotional needs indirectly through surface level words. With the emotional bonding checklist, we go right for the center of the persuasion bullseye. The magic question to begin this process is called what's important about, right? So you guys ready? You guys ready to play? All right, so let me preface this. This is one of the most powerful influence techniques you can use on any human, if not the most powerful, I gotta be honest. Whether you do this on yourself, for yourself, or you're using it with another human being. This gives you the literal roadmap that creates the things that are most desirable and undesirable in their world so that you can either give it to them or remove it from their life. Does that make sense? It will in a minute. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out a piece of paper, and I would prefer if you actually hand wrote this rather than typed it on your keyboard, but it doesn't matter. Now, obviously, if you're driving a car, operating machinery, you shouldn't be doing this at all, right? But what I want you to do, on the top of that paper, I want you to write this question. What do I want to get from training with David today? Write that question out. What do I want to get from training with David today? ... When you've done that, type done in the chat. Again, the more done, Eric says done. Done. Excellent. Now, underneath that question, I want you to write the answer and go with your first impressions. Here's something I want to give you for free right off the bat. There are 6 dynamics to an unconscious response. Unconscious mind always answers first, always answers honestly, always feels like you're making it up. You always have an urge to edit what just came up. It's never loud. It's never linear. In this context, we're only worried about the first 4. Always answers first, always answers honestly, always feels like you're making it up. Right? Actually 3. Right? Whatever comes up first, that's what you write. What do I want to get from training with David today? Or what do I want to get from following David's instructions today? ... Write the answer. Underneath that, write number 1. Next to that, I want you to write what's important about that. If you followed my instructions, if you got the results, the things you wanted to be able to do as a result of training today, you got it. What's important to you about it? What's that going to do for you? What's important about it? Write that down. Right? What's important about that? Once you've written the answer, type done in the chat. Okay, excellent. Now that you've answered the first what's important about question, Once you know what's important about that, write number 2, write the what's important about question again, and ask yourself what's important about your answer to question number 1. In other words, we're digging a little bit deeper. So let's say, as an example, what do I want to let from David today? I want the ability to influence people to want to do what I want them to do anytime I want them to do it. Write that down. What's important about getting people to want to do what you want them to do anytime you want them to do it? Well, the answer to that is, so I get the things I want and I can feel good about it, and I can have more security for my family. Excellent. That's just an example. Could be so I never have to feel afraid ever again. Could be so that I know that I can take care of myself and I'll never be at another person's mercy ever again. It doesn't matter what the answer is, as long as it comes from you. Once you've answered question number 2, I want you to write 3, what's important about that, and apply the what's important about question to the answer you gave for question number 2. So you should have 3 degrees of what's important about. Are you guys following me so far? Type yes if you're with me. Excellent. Okay. So answer those 3 questions, and then I'm going to give you an experience that's going to transform everything that you do. Okay? Well, kind of. Okay. Would it help if I showed you a template? I hesitate sometimes to show the template because sometimes the template actually confuses people a little bit more. All right, so let me see if I can make this better and somewhat legible. Oh, that's not a good one. Okay, this will work. So when you apply this process to yourself, it's called the emotional motivation checklist. When you apply this with another human being, it's called the emotional bonding checklist. It's the same process. What changes is who it's directed at. Okay? So you might want to take a screenshot of this just to make it easier. Again, I'm not holding anything back. I'm giving you exactly the process, right? So, we started off with, what do I want to learn from David today, right? And then I make my answer. Maybe it's I want to make more money. Okay, great. Then you ask, what's it going to do for you? What or like I said, what's important about God, right? You answer the question, whatever it is. Number 2, what's important about getting that? Answer the question. Number 3, ultimately, if you had it, what would it do? What's important about having it, right? Does this help? I'll do a cleaner one and maybe send it out as a PDF, but this is the basic structure. Okay, now, here's where the magic happens. I want you to take the paper that you're holding and I want you to stand up. You should have at least 3 levels of answer on there, okay? Let me see if I can model this for you. This will work. So you take your piece of paper with your answers written on it, okay? You hold them up. It doesn't have to be too high, but I like to hold it up just above eye level or at about a 45-degree angle. Right? You can't. My background is messing with me. And what I want you to do, I want you to read the answers to question 1, 2, and 3 out loud. First of all, scan your body. Notice the body feelings you have right now. And I want you to take the answers to the questions What's important about that you've written? The answer to question 1, the answer to question 2, the answer to question 3. And I want you to read them out loud to yourself 5 times. Read it out loud to yourself 5 times. Right? Close the door so nobody will hear you, but nice and loud, or nice and, at my volume. Read them out loud 5 times. Take an inventory of how you feel, and then type what you feel in the chat when you're done. So the question, you can say, I'll show it to you again, for those of you who want to see it again. Okay. Faith says empowered, excited, rapport, okay, focused, right, anxious, okay, you got some stuff to clear, that's okay, grateful, excellent, empowered, beautiful. Let me ask you a question. How fast was that? How fast was it? Seconds. Now, let me ask you a question. Made it real immediately, Wendy says. Now, let me ask you a question. What if you could move through the world giving these kinds of feelings to everyone you meet? What if you could take these kinds of feelings? Because how much, think about it. Based on what you just read out to yourself, how much more do you want those things? How much more do you want those things now? How much more are you associating the answer to that question to getting those needs to the guy in front of you? I'm pulling back the curtain. What if you could move through the world making everyone you meet, regardless of the context, feel this way? How would that change your life? Save time, for sure. You wouldn't waste a lot of time on people who don't match your stuff, right? That's the secret to this. The emotional bonding checklist goes right to the heart of every human being's emotional needs. And when you talk to people using their exact words, including this information, because all you really did, if you think about it, all you really did was repeat the exact words your heart gave you 5 times. 5 times with no context. Well, I said context for you, but the idea is, think about it. There's nothing else around this. Look at what happened to you. Okay, perfect. Now, how many of you would like to take this even further? Tap it in the chat. Excellent. So at the beginning of our webinar, I promised you I would take you as far down this rabbit hole as I could. I would lay the foundations for influence and persuasion that are unstoppable, completely ethical, and get everybody loving you and wanting to do what you want them to do. Have I delivered on that so far? Okay. So with your permission, I'd like to share with you a special program and a series of packages that I've put together to help you leverage this even further and help you become absolutely unstoppable and get all the things we talked about, including what's on your list right now at the beginning of this webinar. Is that okay? May I have your permission to do that? Okay. All right. That being said, dun, da, da, da. Cool. I'd like to share with you something I'm very, very proud of. This is actually one of my favorite webinars to teach. It's the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Home Study Course, Mastery Course. This is a course designed to help you reach into the hearts and minds of yourself and everyone you know so that you can ethically and honestly make more money, close more deals, get more dates, help more people, feel more confident, move through the world feeling more powerful and able to get the things you want so that you can finally win the game of life, all the while becoming more charming, charismatic, and irresistible, and a whole lot more. I can't begin to list all of the things that this technology has done for my life. This is why I'm such a big proponent of it. This is why I believe that this is the ultimate survival skill. If you are a human being trying to survive and thrive in a human society, this is the most important skill that you can have. The ability to get human beings to actually want to do the things that you want them to do without saying no, arguing, lying, cheating, or stealing. To me, this is the ultimate success skill set. And here's what we're going to do for you today. Everything in this package is available until October 26, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. tonight. All right. At that point, it goes away, it turns into a pumpkin, but don't worry, the courses are completely worth it at full price. But if you want the biggest bang for your buck, you might want to stay till the end of the webinar so that you can get even more good stuff, because I promise you, there's going to be more coming. We're going to teach you more stuff. So what does this include? The Secrets of Human Influence Home Study course begins with our Killer Influence program, the 17-video, 7-stage universal persuasion protocol that's going to teach you how to think like a master of influence. Masters of influence have a certain mindset and a way of looking at the world that allows them to find the leverage points in any interaction or communication that leads to the greatest, best result for the good of all concerned. It's a $297 value. You're going to get that right away. How to control your psycho-emotional state so no one else can. This is a special module, several modules of training that teaches you how to enter and exit any psycho-emotional state at will through your physiology and through your breathing, and then through your mind alone. And then we teach you how to combine this so you can link with anybody else's nervous system, influence their physical body to their reticular activating system, and literally beam emotions back and forth. It changes their brain from the inside out, so they are predisposed and primed to perceive your communication in the way you want them to perceive it, and they think it's their idea, right? We do that through the special rapport skills. You heard Ilga talk about 3 levels of rapport. This is taught in the power rapport skills for connecting with anyone, anywhere. There are 3 levels of rapport, only one of which is the classical rapport skills taught in neuro-linguistic programming. We'll show you how each of these 3 levels of rapport work, what they're good for, what they're not. If you're trying to use classic NLP skills for attraction and dating, you're going to wind up in the friend zone 9 out of 10 times. But if you understand vibing, you have the exact ingredients for maximum attraction, maximum rapport in minimum time. We'll show you the ins and outs of all of this stuff. And then, of course, the most powerful type of rapport that you have is known as kinesthetic rapport or heart coherence. This is where your heartbeat, your lung, your breathing patterns almost instantly start to synchronize with another person. If you're familiar with heartmath.org, you can go to their website and you can download their free ebook. Go to chapter 6. It'll give you all the studies that this is derived from. This is validation and corroboration of these skills. All this is done before you even open your mouth, right? It's a $297 value. We're going to teach you all the skills that you need. We're going to teach you the 7 most powerful, most irresistible language patterns that exist. Let me ask you guys a question. Think about what you learned so far about connecting with the person's deepest emotional needs. What if you also had the ability to instantly make anything you want cause or seem to cause anything you want in the minds of your listener, even if those things have nothing to do with each other? What could you do with a superpower like that? Right? That's what one pattern does. What if you had the magical ability to make anything you want mean anything you want in the minds of your listener, even if those things have nothing in common? Right? You could literally make a white shirt mean trust, right? Those 2 things have absolutely nothing to do with each other, but using one simple language pattern, you can make connections that people believe is absolute reality. That's language pattern 2. What if you had the ability to make anyone you want pay attention to anything you want and avoid paying attention to anything else? What if that pattern would also allow you to instantly cause automatic processes to go off in their mind so that they automatically start thinking the way that you want them to think, and you just kind of sit back and watch it happen? That's what language pattern number 3 does. What if you had the power to force a person's internal mind movies, the movies you make in your mind? What if you had the ability to make those movies be exactly what you want them to be with absolutely zero chance of misinterpretation or being wrong? That's 4 patterns, guys, right? What if one of these patterns was so powerful that even when the person you were using it on knew you were doing it, it still worked? What could you do with powers like that? Because that's what you're getting. And then there's other language patterns that just round out and will give you ability to create very powerful spatial representations that allow you to control the perceptions of time and to move around objections very, very adroitly. This is the system that was named the #1 NLP course in the world. We never, here's the funny part about this, guys. We never even promoted this as an NLP class, right? They just said, this is the most powerful shit we've ever seen, right? It's a 200, actually, if you think about it, it's way more than a $297 value, but that's part of the course, right? We're going to teach you how to manage the emotional states of other people so that you can navigate and move them from where they are to where you want them to be in the simplest, easiest, most effective way possible. And jumping back really quick, going back to that whole how to control your psycho-emotional states so no one else can. What if you had what if nobody was ever able to push your emotional hot buttons for very long ever again? Would that be useful to have? No one could get under your skin, or if they did, they caught you by surprise, you could instantly get out of it. That's level 2 training right there with the how to control your psycho-emotional state. That's part of it. Okay. What if you could instantly hijack a person's internal behavior code? In other words, every time somebody wants to do something, there's like a firing pattern in their brain. Their visual cortex, their auditory cortex, their kinesthetic cortex, they light up in certain sequences. Those sequences are hidden in their words. What if you could easily perceive those codes and use them to install influence even more powerfully so that they just automatically do what you want them to do? Would that be helpful? Would that be useful? All right, we're going to teach you how to do that. Actually, if you want to be really technical, I have already taught you how to do it. Right? It starts with the word E and ends with echo. Right? Okay. What if you could emotionally bond anyone's deepest desires to what you want them to do so that they automatically do what you want so they can get what they want? Isn't that the definition of win-win? That's, again, what you got to experience with that emotional bonding checklist, that emotional motivation checklist. It's the persuasion bullseye. Now, look at what you can do with just pieces of the system. What can you do with all of it? Right? What could you do with all of it? Think about it for what would your life be like? Right? It's a 200, that part is, so you're also going to get the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. This is a 218, I think 240 page manual that not only covers the entire 7-stage universal persuasion protocol, it also teaches you about lie detection, how to cold read people, how to tap into other types of neurological filters so that people automatically want to do what you want them to do and have the greatest degree of understanding what you're trying to communicate. How to reframe things, how to personality profile people in as little as 90 seconds. Let's see, all the social hypnotic operators, things like commitment and consistency, scarcity. These are hypnotic operators that society has programmed into you that make you automatically buy the stuff they sell or run away from the things they want you to run away from or run towards the things they want you to run away from. These 5 hypnotic triggers are responsible for 80 to 90% of everything that's bought and sold in this country. Right? If you understand these triggers, you can become aware of when they're used on you. You can choose now to follow that impetus, or you can resist it. Remember, without awareness, my friends, there is no choice. Right? So this gives you the ability to see it, perceive it, defend against it, but also in your way to ethically use them. Right? So you can, if you have clients that you want to help, this will help you to motivate them properly to become your client and do what you want them to do, right? This is all part of the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. right? You'll also get access, and I'll talk about this in a little shortly, to an online community with people just like you who want to make their lives better through the arts of persuasion and influence and are looking for people to practice with, to communicate with, to commune with. People you can talk to about this without them wanting to burn you at the stake. Is that a fun thing? People you can talk to about this stuff and not feel weird, right? I'm going to give you access to an extended family of people who are there for the same reasons you are, right? It's really cool. What do you think? You like that? Right? Total value on this package, if you bought it on the website, will be $2,497. But for those of you on the webinar today who are willing to follow my instructions to get the most bang for their buck, I want to reward you for taking action today. If you grab this package before the end of our training tonight, we're going to include absolutely free these several exclusive special bonuses. These are courses I handpicked to take the core training of the Secrets of Human Influence and round out your persuasion skills to give you the ability to adapt and modify and overcome any obstacle that you might find out in the real world. Okay, first one, weapons of mass instruction. One of the most powerful and unstoppable and undetectable forms of human influence is storytelling and metaphor. Now, I was very, very frustrated for many years as I was studying influence and persuasion, because every NLP teacher and Ericksonian hypnotist I went to said, there's nothing more powerful than story and metaphor. And every time I went to a story and metaphor training, all they did was tell stories without telling me what the fuck was going on behind the scenes. After buying yet another course on storytelling and metaphor that did nothing but tell me stories and talk about the hero's journey, I realized something, that if there was going to be a course on storytelling and metaphor that was actually user-friendly, based on neuroscience, I would have to create it. And that's exactly what I did. I created a program we call Weapons of Mass Instruction. It's a 17 or 18 DVD set. It comes with a full manual. It has 5 specific modules. The first module is the neuroscience behind storytelling and metaphor, why you want to use it, why it's never perceived as a direct attempt at persuasion, how it persuades people to do things in the background, how your brain lights up when it hears a story, right? All that's in there. Then we're going to teach you the 5 most important ways to use story. The first one is called connecting stories. It's how to use short little stories to spark conversations, get people talking about themselves, and create bonding in interactions as simple as standing in the line at the movie theater, the line at Starbucks. We'll give you actual templates and formats to follow. So it takes all the guesswork out of creating these things. So you literally have this little swipe file, these little bullets for your persuasion handgun that you can deploy anytime you want to, right? The next phase is called alpha stories. Alpha stories are classical types of stories used for persuasion, motivation, inspiration, team building. They're stories that amplify the persuasion push. So let me explain this, because I want to compare and contrast this with the next module in the program called Omega Stories. So let's assume for a moment that I have this big filing cabinet that's full of stuff, right? And I want to move this filing cabinet across the room. So I have to overcome the inertia. So I get down, I get low, and I push and I push and I push, and I inch the filing cabinet across the room. If I'm smart, I get a bunch of other people behind me and they help me push the filing cabinet across the room. That's how alpha stories and alpha persuasion strategies work. They add more push to your persuasion message. But what if I took some rollers or some oil and I put it on the floor in front of the filing cabinet? So now I could just remove the resistance, the friction to the filing cabinet. So the filing cabinet just easily slide across the room without more effort, sometimes with less effort. What if I could remove the resistance to my influence? That's what Omega Stories do. And it's based on the work of Dr. Eric Knowles, who wrote a book called Resistance and Persuasion. That's module 3 of Weapons of Mass Instruction, right? You're going to learn exactly how to do it. The 2 things that make stories irresistible, the 5 category checklist, that if you build these things into your story, they become neurologically irresistible. And then we even give you a quiz that you can take your story, tell it to somebody, and they can rate your story on these 5 or 6 characteristics, so you can consistently improve the power of your story. So anytime you need to whip that story out, you know you have the greatest chance of influencing another human being, right? So that brings us to the final module in the Weapons of Mass Instruction series. We call this Ninja Stories. Not only are stories super powerful by themselves, stories can be used as a delivery mechanism for about 14 different persuasion tactics, right? Embedded commands, analog marking, behavioral priming, semantic priming, nested loops. All of these things can be built into your story that amplify, magnify, and direct the persuasion. They're hidden in the background of the story, like subliminal. It's not subliminal, but it is. And it creates what we call ninja stories. So if you're coming from a classic NLP background, you've heard things like embedded commands and analog markings and anchoring. These are all things that can be embedded within a story. Now, why am I telling you this? Because there's a lot of people in the personal development field that are doing this on you. Okay? They're not teaching you NLP, they're not teaching you persuasion, they're using the techniques on you without your consent, without your knowledge. So I want to level the playing field a little bit. Okay? So in the Ninja Story module, what I literally do is I show you all of the persuasion tactics that these pitchmen and these high-level speakers and stuff are using to get people to stampede to the back of the room and buy things that aren't in their best interest necessarily, right? I'm going to teach you how to use them. Each and every one. I'm going to teach you how to use each and every one and how to build your own stories so that you can turn the tables, or in an ethical and honest way, if you're teaching or you're presenting and you're giving value to people, you can use these techniques to amplify and accelerate their learning. Have them wanting to sign up for you. You know, it's your skill set. You get to use it however you want, right? And then finally, what I do, just to prove this to you, I take a transcript of one of the most famous presenters in the world, and I deconstruct his talk and show you all the hidden tactics, all the secret story work that's going on, that's priming you to do things. You'll never look at some of these people the same way again, but it will change your life, right? It'll empower you, right? I'm giving it to you free because I want you to understand. In our world, in Planet David, we call it seeing the matrix. Okay, that's bonus number 1. But wait, there's more. Is this cool? If they're famous, they're dodgy anyway. I wish that were true. I wish that were true. Some people are actually quite ethical, but they understand persuasion and influence. They understand that people need to take action in order to change. And as long as you're not manipulating, as long as you're not being deceitful, whatever you can get them to do to make a decision, which is really what it's kind of what separates the dodgy ones from the heart-centered ones. When you're a heart-centered influencer, what you really care about is helping people get to a point where they can make a decision. You don't become married to what that decision might be. So we'll talk about that more in the training, but let's go back to this, okay? So that's bonus 1. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free, okay? Just for grabbing one of these packages, okay? So the total combined value is $4,487, but we're not done yet. There's more free stuff coming your way. Bonus number 2, renegade reframing, how to overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds during normal conversations. This is like kryptonite for people who like to argue. This is kryptonite for people who have limiting beliefs. What? Think about this for a moment. How many of you have ever had somebody say no to you and give you a BS reason or a reason that you just couldn't overcome? Anybody? What if for every single objection, argument, insult, limiting belief, you had 14 different ways to instantly change that belief and create a new one. What if you could do this to yourself? What if you could list all the limiting beliefs that you have, shoot these 14 bullets out of them, 14 different new options and ways to believe about something? How would that change your life? Because that's exactly what renegade reframing is all about. You see, when Richard Bandler, one of the founders of NLP, would teach his practitioners, and especially when he was teaching reframing, he would challenge his students to try and attack his belief systems or change his limiting beliefs through his objections. And they would try to argue and meta model and do all these techniques. And Richard had this seemingly psychic ability to just say the right thing at the right time. And one of Richard Bandler's students was a guy named Robert Dilts. And Robert would actually observe Richard over the course of several trainings. And he made a discovery. He discovered that there were 14 separate language patterns or points of view that Richard would apply to anything his student said that instantly neutralized that statement and created a moment of confusion that he could install another suggestion, right? It just instantly stopped people's thought processes in their track. It changed and reframed the beliefs. And he discovered these patterns, he codified them. And for a long time, it was really kind of challenging to learn. When I got my hands on it, I said, we got to find a way to make this more fun and simpler. So we created a special manual and a card game. We call it the reframe game. With this particular training, you now gain the ability to instantly change a belief during normal conversation in as little as 30 seconds, right? 14 different ways to do it in as little as 30 seconds. And then if you start combining them, it becomes even more unstoppable, right? And the best part is you don't ever, unless you screw up the stuff we teach you in the Killer Influence training, the secrets of persuasion, the first thing I talked about, you almost never need to use this. But you can use this on yourself to completely transform all of your limiting beliefs and free up your behavioral flexibility. Again, it's a $1,997 value. It comes with a card game. You just print the stuff out, cut it up, and you can just throw a card at somebody, state a limiting belief, and that person has to use the card to overcome it. And you can become very, very good, very, very fast. Some of us have even talked about turning it into a drinking game. That might be dangerous, but the card game is included. It's in the back of the manual. You just print it out, cut it up, and have fun with it. Okay, it's a $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free, just for grabbing this special webinar package. Total combined value is $6,484, but we're not done yet. The next bonus is the one. Remember, I talked about famous pitch men who are men and women who can get up on stage and have people stampeding to the back of the room to become a client, buy a product or service, whatever you want. I decided many years ago that people needed to know how to do this on stage. And so I created this course. This is called Charisma and Conversion. And it's a special course on presentation skills, hypnotic presentation skills for presenters and public speakers. I've taught my students from the time I took the stage and even up to today is that the most powerful, cost-effective way to build your business, create content for your channels, establish yourself as an authority is public speaking. To get in front of a group of people who have a problem that you can solve and skillfully, artfully guide them through a series of experiences that position them to want to take further action with you. And I take you from soup to nuts with this. I teach you basic stagecraft. I teach you a process we call persuasion architecture. How exactly do you design a talk that subliminally programs people to want to take the next step with you, right? On paper, what does that look like? What are the steps? And then we actually get you up on a stage. Well, you'll see us do it in the video because you're doing this from home. You'll see us getting people up on stage and giving them feedback on their stuff, how to hold a microphone, how to walk, how to move on stage. And then what we do, we go back and revisit some of the material from CPI2 or the Weapons of Mass Instruction and we show you the art and science of storytelling so you can begin to deploy these things on any group in your anyone in your audience, so they want to take the next step with you, learn the materials faster, and feel good about it. So again, it's an integrative system. We put these 3 bonuses in here so that you have the whole enchilada, as Dan Kennedy likes to say. And you know, if you are a coach or therapist, a networker, and you know, these are important skills to have. We're going to teach you the fastest, easiest, most effective way to get maximum charisma, maximum conversion in the shortest amount of time possible. Eric's asking the bottom line. I like bottom line people. We'll get to it, Eric, I promise. Total combined value, $8,481. So this is what we got for you so far. 17 video, 7-stage universal persuasion protocol, $2,497 value, plus the Killer Influence Mind Control Mastery Manual, weapons of mass instruction, neuroscientific storytelling and metaphor secrets, $1,997 value, renegade reframing, $1,997 value, charisma conversion, hypnotic presentation skills for presenters and public speakers, $1,997 value. Total combined value is $8,481. However, because I want to reward the people who take action, because I want you to get off your butt and get in the game, I want to give you the best deal humanly possible. I'm going to slash the price on this. Okay, you're not going to have to pay $8,488. You're not going to have to pay $6,481, $5,347. You're not even going to have to pay $3,347, right? $224.97 sound like a fair price? Guess what? We're not even going to do that. For those of you who are actually serious about taking charge of your life, if you've enjoyed what you've learned so far and felt the power of it and can imagine what the full system will do for you with all the bonuses, you can get it all today for one low installment of just $997. One installment of $997. And if you need a little extra help, we'll let you break it down into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you got to do to get yours is click the link in your chat there. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. www.killerinfluence.com/GO. One more time with feeling. www.killerinfluence.com/GO. I want you to have this. If you know you deserve it, right? If you're the little voice in your head, it's too much, it's too expensive, it's too much work, too much material. That's your neurology trying to keep you the same, right? If you felt the power of just the few pieces you've learned today, imagine what you can do with everything, right? But it's your call, right? Go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO, right? So for those of you who may be a little on the fence or a little nervous, well, what if it doesn't work, David? Right? What if I don't get what I want? Everything that we're offering you today comes with a 60-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. If after 60, first of all, if you have questions about it, all you need to do is give us a call or send us an email and let us help you through the sticking points. If after we've helped you through the sticking points, you're still not getting the results that you were expecting, if we're not over delivering, all you got to do is pick up the phone, give Stephanie a call, 858-282-4663, send us an email, and we will literally refund every penny you invested. If you're not getting the results, we don't want your money. We don't want your investment. We want you to take it back and go find something that actually works for you. But I promise you, when you apply these techniques, you will be astonished. Is this better than Stealth CPI, Anna? Actually, yes. Stealth CPI and Killer Influence start in the same place with the Universal Persuasion Protocol, but Killer Influence takes you into the realm of hypnotic operators, which are things that don't rely on language, such as the meta programs, the cold reading, the social hypnotic operators, the lie detection skills, the personality profiling things. These are extra things because there are times in life when you can't rely on your language. So we give you a broader toolkit that you can apply anywhere, right? And it comes with a 60-day, 100% money back guarantee. You have apps. Think about it for a moment. You can try it for 60 days. If it doesn't work, let us know. We'll give you your money back. You can keep the course, right? You can keep the course, right? Now, please don't screw us that way. You know, if the shit's working and you just want to get your money back, don't be a dickhead, right? We have a strong no dickhead policy. But anyway, like I said, you have absolutely zero risk here. Trevor's saying Obama type influence. Would you guys like to know a fun factoid? You know, there's a PDF floating around the internet that claims that Barack Obama was using conversational and covert hypnosis in his speeches, right? I challenge you to find a copy of that PDF and look in the footnotes. You might be surprised whose name and what course you see there. Just saying. I can neither confirm nor deny that such a thing actually happened, but hey. Anyway, 60-day money back guarantee. If you're not happy, we're not happy, we'll give you your money back. You have absolutely nothing to risk and absolutely everything to gain. All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Now, let me give you a little heads up. Usually when we hit this point in the training, people just stampede over to Stephanie and start calling left and right. Right? If the line is busy, make sure that you leave your name and your contact information. If you leave your name and your contact information, you will qualify for any of the bonuses that we're offering. If you just call and hang up and don't leave any contact information and call back later, we can't offer you those bonuses. Okay, so when you call, please leave your contact information and you will qualify. We'll get back to you within 24 hours, I promise you. Stephanie is amazing at helping people to get their situations resolved in the shortest amount of time possible. Another thing, if you've bought some of these courses in the past that we're offering in this package, we will let you swap out a course of equal or lesser value so you can customize the package and not have duplication in your package, right? We're here to make sure that you get the biggest bang for your buck. So by all means, click that link, go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO or call Stephanie at 858-282-4663. It's 858-282-4663, okay? Now, if that wasn't enticing enough, if everything I've talked about hasn't gotten you salivating to take your life to the next level, if you grab your course before the end of tonight's webinar, October 26, 2022, 11:59 p.m., and specifically before I log off the webinar, we're going to include these special fast action bonuses because remember, the behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. The behavior that gets repeated gets reinforced. I want you to be an action taker. Nothing happens until you get off your ass and actually do something, starting with clicking the link and then actually doing the drills to get the skills. That's why I said this was an audience participation webinar. If you do the drills, you'll have the experience and you'll have true confidence in what you're learning. So the first thing we're going to do is give you a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group. Remember I said I'm going to give you access to an online community? This is it. On the 3rd Saturday of every month, we get together in person or virtually, and I literally, people log in, I go around the room, and I say, Stephanie, what do you want to learn? Seth, what do you want to learn? Kevin, what do you want to learn? Faith, what do you want to learn? Eric, what do you want to learn? Right? And I write down what you want to learn about on the board. I step back, I look at what everybody wants to learn about, I see where they all connect, I create a lesson plan on the spot, and then for the next 5 hours, I drill you on those skills until you can do them in your sleep. I break you up into groups. I have you practice with each other, give each other feedback, right? We've run that program every month for the last 11 years, right? We have videotaped and archived every single training session and have them archived on our NLP Power website. We have it archived in our private Facebook group, and we have it archived at our platinum and diamond level membership on our YouTube channel. As a trial member of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, for the 3 months you were part of that program, you can participate in all the live sessions. You can binge watch and have complete access to the entire 11-year archive, everything from persuasion and influence, hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, marketing, dating, attraction, manifestation, energy healing, accelerated learning, you name it. If it has to do with the mind and the body, it's in there, right? You can binge watch 11 years of video that for the most part has never been released anywhere. It's not on YouTube. It's not in a product. It's completely yours, right? Katani asked a question, but I didn't catch it, so maybe she can ask it again. Anyway, you get it for 3 months. If you love it after 3 months, let us know. We'll tell you how to become a long-term member. If you don't like it, at the end of 3 months, your membership's done. You met some great people who like to do cool stuff. You learned some great stuff. You got an opportunity to practice and get feedback from me, as well as some really advanced people. And you've got skills that you can take out into the world and use right away. You won't get a certification from the mastermind. What you will get is the most important piece: hands-on training that you can take out into the real world and use instantly and automatically to get exactly what you want. Is that useful, right? If you think I think it's useful. I'm a little biased though, right? That's fast action bonus number one. Total value, it's a $1,597 value. We're going to give it to you free. Total combined value so far is $10,078. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. But we're not going to stop there. Once again, I like to do things in multiples. You're also going to get the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. This was a special program I designed for people who are completely impatient and want to learn how to get shit started fast. The Stealth is actually an acronym. It stands for Strategic Suggestion Through Emotionally Amplified Linguistically Triggered Hypnosis or Transmitted Hypnosis. This is going to teach you, you can watch 2 videos of me hypnotizing other human beings in an hour. It has videos on the most powerful language patterns that exist, hypnotic anchoring, criteria and values elicitation, lie detection, instant and rapid inductions, and there's a special 6-video set in there called Instant Influence, where you actually see me teaching these language patterns live at one of my early NLP Power meetups. It's all there. It comes with manuals, transcripts, and workbooks, so you can actually do the drills and get the skills, right? You can literally watch a couple hours of video and be out using this stuff right away. So for those of you who want a fast start, this will get you there. You take what you learned in this webinar, combine it with this, nobody will be able to resist you, right? Don't take my word for it, test it, right? It's a $997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely 100% free when you grab your package. Total combined value, if you were to buy these things individually on the website, would be $11,075. But obviously, you're not going to have to pay that. All you got to do is invest $997 or 3 installments of $397. Now, some of you have heard me talk about the power of live training. And to me, as good as this webinar package is, it would still be my second choice compared to a live event. And don't believe me, ask the veterans about the difference between video and video is powerful, but the difference between being in a room with me for 5 straight days versus watching the video. And this is why for the next 21 people who grab this package today, I'm going to include a free VIP ticket to our next 5-day Killer Influence Secrets of Covert Hypnosis 5-day certification boot camp live in Las Vegas, January 24th through the 28th. It's a $2,250 value. And you're going to learn everything I've talked about and a whole lot more, because you're going to have me personally guiding, instructing you, and installing these things into you. You will embody these skills like it's nobody's business. For 5 straight days of hands-on training, I'm going to teach you how to control your emotional state, how to emanate charisma on command, make people like, love, and trust you, how to hypnotize people during normal conversations and have them liking, loving everything you say and doing, salivating to do whatever you want them to do, how to read anyone instantly, detect lies, and so much more. So much more. It's a $2,250 $250 value. Total combined value, if you were to buy it all on the website, is $13,325. Now, let me explain a little bit about this special VIP ticket. This VIP ticket does not expire. What does that mean? Let's say, for whatever reason, you can't make the training on January 24th through the 28th. All you got to do is pick up the phone, let Stephanie know, send her an email. We'll move you to another training. This ticket does not expire. If for some strange reason you want to give this ticket to somebody else, you can do that, right? If we raise the price for the Killer Influence Seminar down the road, you don't pay anything. You still get in for free. If something comes up at the last minute where you can actually come to a training, but the training is sold out, there's no room at the inn. If you have one of these special VIP tickets, we'll make a seat for you. We'll find a space for you. We'll move you right to the head of the line, right? It never expires. You use it, you don't lose it until you use it. The price never goes up. It can't be canceled. You can gift it to other people. People absolutely love this course. Does it have to be paid in full before the course begins? Generally speaking, we prefer to have at least 2/3 of it in the can before we allow you to attend. Stephanie will answer all those questions when you call. If you need to, again, don't be afraid to ask Stephanie anything you want. She's going to hate me for saying that, but that's how it is. 858-282-4663. 858-282-4663. Okay. Total combined value, $13,325. You get it all for one low investment of $997 or 3 installments of $397. This is what you got, my friends. Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course, $2,479 value. Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. Objection Obliteration, $1,997 value. That's Renegade Reframing, by the way. That's the old name. We're going to give it to you free. Charisma Conversion, $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, 3-month trial, $1,597 value. We're going to give it to you free. Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value. We're going to give it to you free. And of course, the amazing Killer Influence VIP Super Ticket, 5-day certification boot camp live in Las Vegas, January 24th to the 28th at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. It's a $2,250 value. We're giving it to you free. Why? Because we want you in the frickin' room. We want you to take this course and kick ass with it. We want you to go out into the world and get everything you want. There's a lot of prosperity in the world if you have the skills to ask for it, to make people want to do what you want them to do. Don't take my word for it. Grab your course, apply the skills. If you're not satisfied, use the 60-day return policy. Give us a chance to help you through the sticking points. But once again, if I'm not under promising what this shit will do for you, we'll give you your money back. So all you got to do is your one-time installment of $997 or 3 installments of $397. All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Hopefully I didn't screw up that URL. www.killerinfluence.com/go. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Now, while a bunch of you are doing that, okay, you're probably going to have questions. You probably want to get your orders processed, stuff like that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to keep my promise to you now. We're going to take a 7-minute break. When we come back, we are going to enter part 3. Oh, sorry about that. www.killerinfluence.com/Joe. I should never type when I'm trying to teach. So I'll just let Brandon and Stephanie and Ted and Holly put the URLs in there. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. We're going to take a 7-minute break. When we come back, we're going to transition into part 3 of our webinar. And this is the customization phase. This is where we now drill down on the specific contexts that you want to learn about, the areas or sticking points that you are having in your life that you would like a fix or a technique to conquer. All right, we're going to take a 7-minute break. When we come back, we're going to jump into more teaching, more training, more practice, more experiences. Click your links now. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Go right now so that when I get back from the break, we can just jump right into training. If you have questions, make sure you call Stephanie, email Stephanie, but make sure you leave your contact information so that she can make sure you qualify for all of these bonuses. Now, these fast action bonuses, they are gone when I log off the webinar. All the other stuff I talked about before the fast action bonuses, they're good till 11:59 p.m. tonight. But the mastermind training, the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, the VIP Super Ticket, when I log off the webinar, they're gone, period. So make your decision, decide who you want to be, click those links. I will see you in 7 minutes. Congratulations to Anna Dobbs for joining the Killer Influence family. We have some special goodies in line for her when we see her next. All right. For those of you who are waiting for the break to be over, if you got questions, How often will these 5-day boot camps be done? We do them two to three times a year. Killer Influence is one of our primary core on-ramps into Planet David. So we try to do it at least 2 or 3 times a year. So if you miss your opportunity, if you got one of the VIP tickets and you miss your opportunity in January, you can probably pick it up. Usually I think we do one right around July or August sometimes. And then, no, Gene, we're still here, right? Again, some people just have a low attention spans. That's all right. But yeah, we do it 2 to 3 times a year. We try to put a lot of time between the trainings, just because from Killer Influence, people often decide where they want to go next, and we want to make sure that you take the minimum number of courses to get where you want, get from where you are to where you want to be, without laying out a lot of funds. So we're very we're conscientious that way. So we have one question that's how to protect myself from soaking low energies around you. And here we go. We actually have a whole series of energetic and vibrational trainings that shield you from negative energies. I just taught my mega platinum $100,000 coaching clients are all at the retreat with me while I'm doing this. And we just taught 2 levels of energetic self-defense last night. So they're all happy and feeling all moody. Right. Okay. We got a couple of minutes. I think I just said this, but I'll say it again. How often will these boot camps be done? Like I said before, we do them 2 to 3 times a year, usually at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the, or close to the end of the year. However, one of those versions is called Defense Against the Dark Arts. It's a slightly different program. It's designed to teach people how to protect themselves from persuasion predators, narcissists, sociopaths, Machiavellians, dark triads, dark empaths, how to catch lies and detect lies, conversational skills, behavioral profiling, things of that nature. It's a derivative of the original Killer Influence class that we're teaching you right now. But sometimes we alternate between Killer Influence and Defense Against the Dark Arts. So you can expect to see it 2 to 3 times a year on average, because it is one of our major prerequisites for a lot of higher level training. So I hope that answers the question. Tom Moore says, I can't hear you. Hopefully we fix that. Oh yeah, Gene, I think I just answered that question. Yeah. Okay. Being certified in the US, can that be used in Canada? As far as I know, there's no official certifying body for covert hypnosis. So I don't know what certification body you would want to present this material to. A lot of hypnosis organizations do recognize our certificate, but I don't know of any governmental agencies in Canada that would be relevant to this certification. If you buy on the website, are all the bonuses included? No, it's a webinar only special, right? If you have other questions, I would call Stephanie directly, because she can help you navigate the ins and outs of purchasing. All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, that's the end of that. So let's go ahead, and it looks like we're right about ready. We're just at the end of our break. So let me live up to my promise. Let's start training. Now, this is where, once again, I'm starting to call this the customization phase. Why? Because this is where we take all the foundations that we laid in the first part of the webinar, the playful, curious, explorational attitude. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. The fastest way to change another person's emotional state is to change yours first. Control know your outcome, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage their state, jump into their process, link to their criteria and values, right? how to echo the technique and why it's important. The master echo sequence, right? These are all the things I taught you in part one. The emotional bonding checklist, or in your case, the emotional motivation checklist, so that you can overcome procrastination instantly. When you use this on yourself, procrastination goes right out the freaking window. The only thing that can slow you down, if you use this on yourself, ET signed up. Yeah, welcome. I think that's Etienne. I'm not sure, but is that Etienne? Welcome aboard. But anyway, so these are all things. Esty. Oh, Esty did. Okay. So these are all things that we taught you: the emotional bonding checklist, the emotional motivation checklist. And if you use it on yourself, unless you don't have a skill set to implement what you want to do, you're going to just take off like a rocket. You're just going to blow procrastination right out the window, right? Because it taps into your biggest emotional drivers that lie underneath why you do the things you do, right? Everything that human beings do has a checklist. And the checklist changes from context to context, but you have one. Even if it's for things you've never even considered wanting, you have one, right? That's the power of this. Your why opens your heart and allows you to create. Yeah, in many ways, you're right, right? So let's get started. Let's kind of drill down. So type in the chat for me. What are you most interested in knowing about? Do you want to know how to make people like, love, and trust you in as little as 3 minutes? Do you want to overcome resistance to persuasion? What do you want to know about? What context, what kind of skill set? If you could put the cherry on the proverbial sundae, what would it be? What do you want to know about? Type it in the chat what you want to know about, okay? You teach, can people really drain your energy, and how can you cut that off? Yes, absolutely. People can drain your energy. And if you understand energetic and vibrational techniques, you can seal your energy field and harness your attention differently so that people can't drain it off of you. Part of that is part of your state control training in day one of Killer Influence. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got. Let me make this bigger so I can see it. What NLP method or technique would be the best and I should use to actually change and influence my own personality and character? Pedro, start with your emotional bonding checklist. So figure out what it is you want to change, what's important about changing it, and why you're going to, and what you're going to have once you change it. Then you might want to use one of the transformational triad techniques, energy spinning, magic frame, or color breathing. But if you want to go pure NLP, then either reframing or submodality interventions are going to give you the most direct way to change your belief systems. Okay. I recommend, if you want to change personality and character, that you go and you take the identity by design training. See here. Let me see. Let's see here. Thank you, my friend. You're welcome. Lori, have you any tips on how to boost the ego? Lori, that's a really interesting question. I want to make sure that I answer it right. So if you can elaborate on what you mean by boosting the ego, that would be helpful. Do you know Rosa? Cool, I will. Thank you, my friend. Which covers the 3 magic questions? Killer Influence, 100%. There is a smaller scaled down version in the Stealth the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course. What is reframing? It's conversational belief change. It's the Renegade reframing materials. It's a way of changing a perspective on something through simple shifts in points of view. Right? There's 14 different ways that we teach in Renegade reframing, Katanya, that you can use on yourself and other people to get pretty much anything you want. Transformational learning checklist, transformational triad, reframing and interventions. Yes. Okay. Have you any tips on how to boost the ego? Ben, yes, you'll get all the bonuses. Boost ego to overcome weakness. Okay. So The first thing to look at is what's making you weak in the first place. Is it fear? Is it uncertainty? Is it a lack of knowledge? Is it a lack of skill set? The first thing you want to do when you want to boost ego strength, and I think what you're talking about is how to boost confidence and certainty. The first thing you want to do is educate yourself, right? The second thing you want to do is cultivate an energy of relentless determination. Relentless determination is the real success trait. A lot of people think confidence is the prerequisite for success. It's actually not. If you think about the times in your life when you had something had to get done and you had absolutely no confidence in your ability to get it done, you'll find that happens more often than not. But it had to get done, so you sucked it up, you pulled down your big boy or big girl pants, you did the job, and you made it work. Anybody ever have that experience? Something came up, you had absolutely no confidence in your ability to do, but it had to get done. So regardless of how fearful you were, regardless of how much you didn't know, you started and you figured it out and you got it done. Anybody ever have that experience? Let me ask you a question. When did the confidence come? When did the confidence come? Before or after? After. Exactly. That's why I'm very critical. I'm not always the most popular guy in the personal transformation world, because I believe in calling people on their bullshit. There's a lot of people in the personal transformation world that are selling you confidence as a way to get everything you want. And it's not confidence that gets you there. It really isn't. It's relentless determination. And that's why in Identity by Design and Killer Influence, we spend a lot of time on that. Playfulness and relentlessness, right? And see if what I'm about to say resonates with you. If it does, type it in the chat. What I have found through 15 years of peering into the hearts and minds of literally tens of thousands of people is that when people say they want more confidence, what they're really saying is, I want to stop being afraid. I want to feel comfortable in the situation. Does this resonate with anybody? Type it in the chat. If you think, if that resonates, yep. I want that voice. I want that, the voice, yep. Start with the killer influence. Kelly Bader says, yep, yep. You see, this is the thing, is we're buying apples under the term of oranges, right? Confidence is just comfort. Confidence is just a sense of certainty combined with a lack of fear, right? That really doesn't get you there. There are very few times in your life where you're ever going to be 100% confident. But believe me when I tell you, you can always be relentless. If you just look at a situation that you have no idea how you're going to get that done, but you say to yourself, I'm terrified of this. I don't know exactly how I'm going to figure it out, but God damn it, I'm going to figure it out. And you just put one foot in front of the other and you keep going and you pay attention and you modify and you test and you change. If you want to know the one characteristic that separates geniuses who are homeless to geniuses who change the world, that's it. Never give up, never surrender. Relentless determination. Now, if you want, I have a definition of confidence that we use in Planet David. And you can adopt it if you want, but understand that my definition of confidence actually includes relentless. And so this is how we look at it. This is how we think about it. Confidence in the world, according to David, is a sense of relentless determination combined with the expectation of a positive outcome. A sense of relentless determination combined with the expectation of a positive outcome. To me, that's how I define confidence. But I will never define confidence as comfort, right? Because it gives people a false sense of security. As you go through life, you are going to be faced with more situations that make you nervous, anxious, and fearful than anything else. The fast track to becoming the best version of yourself is always on the other side of it. When you can summon up an energy of relentless drive and determination to go forward no matter what, there's nothing in this universe that can stop you. Nothing. And that goes to your state control training in Killer Influence, the state control training you receive in Stealth CPI, the state control training that you get in Identity by Design. So how do I increase and exercise my relentless determination? Would you like to play with that? Would you like to an exercise for helping you develop it? Would that be something you'd like to learn about? All right, we're going to do an exercise together. Okay, you'll learn more about this in Killer Influence, and you'll learn more about this as part of your live training. If you're driving, don't do this. Go catch it on the replay, right? If you are driving and you want to participate in this exercise, what I want you to do, pull your car off to the side of the road or into a parking lot, put the car in park, put on the emergency brake, turn off the ignition, take the key out, put it off to the side, make sure you will not be disturbed. Do not do this while you're operating any form of heavy machinery, okay? I want you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Let that breath out with a sigh. Deeper and deeper with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. I just want you to relax. Let go. Listen to the sound of my voice. Any sound you hear other than the sound of your voice is simply the sound of your natural environment or mind. It's not going to disturb you. It's not going to distract you in any way. In fact, all it's going to do is signal you, remind you, reinforce inside your mind, body, and soul the fact that you're completely safe. That no matter how far inside you travel, no matter how deep inside you go, you will always, always, always be able to hear my words, follow my instructions, and obey my commands. Because you realize that everything I say and everything I do is for you, to give you the life and the lifestyle that you want, the way that you want it, by your standards and your definition. Now, in a moment, not yet, but in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to focus all of your attention on the lids of your eyes. I want you to close your eyes, relax those tiny muscles in your eyelids. I want you to keep relaxing them more and more and more until they're so relaxed they just don't want to work anymore. When you're satisfied, you're convinced, they're so relaxed, they don't want to work anymore, all I want you to do is give them a quick test just to be sure. Then stop testing. Let that level of relaxation flow from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. Deeper and deeper with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. Just let go. Now, in a moment, not yet, but in just a moment, I want you to use that amazing imagination of yours. I'm wondering if you can imagine something for me. I'm wondering if you could imagine a place that was so empowering, so strengthening, so exciting and safe and protected, nurturing and nourishing in every way, that no negativity of any kind could exist there for even a fraction of a second without being immediately vaporized or turned into its opposite. I'm wondering if you could imagine what a place like that might be like. Now, you don't need to type anything in the chat, just imagine what it might be like. What might you see in that amazing place? What might you hear? What might you smell? What might you taste? Because when you do that, when you're in that place and you see what you see and you hear what you hear and you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, there's an amazing, wonderful feeling that you get, a feeling that lets you know you're truly safe, strong, empowered, driven. And I'd like you to notice something, that there's a place in your body where those amazing feelings start, where they grow, where they spread from. Take a moment, point to where you feel it. And as you do that, look at that spot with your inner eyes. Notice there's a color, maybe even a series of colors connected to those amazing feelings. What color or colors might that be for you? First impression. Whatever it is, I want you to take them and imagine a brilliant ball of that energy floating above your head. Notice how the feelings in your body shift and change with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. That ball of energy begins to grow. begins to expand, begins to fill the entire room from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, and all points in between. Notice how it wraps itself around you like an amazing blanket of empowerment and safety. A cocoon, a shield, a suit of armor, insulating you, protecting you from all threats, all dangers, real or imagined, while at the same time flooding your mind, flooding your body, flooding your spirit with everything it most wants, everything it most needs in an infinite, ever-expanding and unlimited supply. And when you know you've got that, breathe those amazing colors through your entire being. Let it fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon. Anchor it in so fully, so completely, no force in the universe can turn it off or take it away, not even you. When you realize it's true, test it. Try to turn it off. Try to take it away. And notice what happens instead. When you're satisfied, stop testing. And when you know you've got that, I want you to just do something interesting for me. I want you to think back to a time in your life when there was something you absolutely wanted. I mean, on a scale of 0 to 10, it had a lust factor of 127. And in that moment, you made a decision that you were going to get it. You were going to accomplish it. You were going to achieve it no matter what. And you made a plan. You put that plan into operation. And no matter what got in your way, no matter how many times you had to change that plan, you went over, around, through, you modified, you adapted, and you just kept going until that moment you realized you got it. You nailed it. You're the winner. You got what you were going for. I want you to remember that feeling of relentless drive and determination. I want you to remember, I want you to see what you saw, hear what you heard, smell and taste what you smelled and you tasted in that moment. Most importantly, if it's possible for you to do this right now, I want you to stand the way you were standing in that moment when you were absolutely determined to do it. I want you to breathe the way you were breathing. And as you do that, as you see what you see, you hear what you hear, you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, and you stand and you breathe in that energy. I want you to notice there's a feeling of relentless drive and determination. Nothing stops you. Nothing gets in your way. Over, around, through, you modify, you adapt, you overcome. I want you to notice there's a place in your body where those feelings start, where they grow and where they spread from. Take a moment. Point to where you feel it. Now, if you've never had an experience quite like that, take a moment and give yourself the freedom to imagine what that might be like. What might you see when you're in that state? What might you hear? What might you smell? What might you taste? But when you do that, when you see what you see, and you hear what you hear, and you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, there's a feeling that you get. There's a posture and a way of breathing that your body automatically takes on. I'd like you to notice something, that there's a color, maybe even a series of colors connected to those amazing, relentless, unstoppable feelings. I'm curious, I'm wondering in your own mind what color or colors that might be for you, first impression. Whatever it is, imagine a brilliant, magnificent, unstoppable ball of that energy floating above your head. Notice how the feelings in your body shift and change with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. That amazing ball of relentless determination, drive to succeed and win begins to grow, begins to expand, begins to fill the entire room from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, and all points in between. Notice how it wraps itself around you like an amazing blanket of relentless drive and determination to win. A cocoon, a shield, a suit of armor, insulating you, protecting you from all despair, all defeat, all lack of motivation, real or imagined, while at the same time flooding your mind, flooding your body, flooding your spirit with everything it most wants, everything it most needs in an infinite, ever expanding, unlimited supply. And when you know you've got that, breathe those amazing colors through your entire being. Let it fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air helium fills up a balloon. Anchor it in so fully, so completely, no force in the universe can turn it off or take it away, not even you. When you realize it's true, test it. Try to turn it off. Try to make it go away. Try to imagine somebody else trying to make it go away. Notice what happens instead. When you're satisfied, stop testing and allow that energy to continue to grow, to expand, to become stronger and stronger. With every breath you take and every beat of your heart, that relentless energy begins to grow and expand and double and triple in size and strength, double and triple in force and magnitude, begins to radiate from your body like the rays of a relentless, irresistible sun, beaming that energy out into the world, blowing away all obstacles, all hindrances, making you a juggernaut of unstoppable, relentless determination to get what you want, to do whatever it takes, to go over, around, through, to modify, adapt, and overcome. Take all the time you need to let that process take place, to let it lock in completely. When you know you've got it, test it. Try to turn it off. Try to take it away. Notice what happens instead. In a moment, take all the time you need as I continue to talk. In a moment, not yet, but in just a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach the number 5, you can emerge from this process, bringing all of these transformations, modifications, revelations, updates, upgrades with you, personifying them, embodying them, perceiving, believing, manifesting, and achieving them in all the ways that give you the life that you want, the way that you want it, by your standards and your definitions. A drive to thrive is unstoppable. To do whatever it takes, invest whatever's necessary, time, energy, effort, money, whatever it is. When you see something you want and you see the path to get there, you do what you have to do, not because I say so, but because you know in your heart of hearts that it's the right thing for you and nothing stops you. Number 1, feel yourself returning to this place we call reality, bringing with you one of the master keys to rewriting your reality. Number 2, all of my suggestions from me to you, from you to your own other than conscious mind, are now 10 times more powerful, 100 times more permanent, 1,000 times more thrilling, fulfilling, and satisfying than ever before. Embraced, held, locked in to that part of your mind, body, and soul that most wants, desires, can implement, facilitate, express these changes in all the ways that give you the life that you want, the way that you want it, by your standards and your definitions. Number 3, because my friends, there's always at least 3 ways to overcome any situation, obstacle, or circumstance that you face. Always at least 3 solutions to any problem you need to solve. When you're all powerful, other than conscious mind, will now easily, effortlessly, and automatically generate those solutions and implement them in the quickest, easiest, most effective way for the good of yourself and all concerned. Number 4, because it's all for you, my friends. You've made the effort. You've made the journey. You've made the investment. You're following the instructions. You're obeying the commands. You're earning the rewards and the right to keep them. It's your reality. It's your truth. It's your life, and you get to live it to the fullest starting now. On the next count, you can emerge from this process like a phoenix rising from the ashes, like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. One phase of your transformation complete. The next phase, the best phase, just beginning. Ready to spread your wings, take to the air, to soar amongst the clouds, to experience life, the universe, and everything in it from a much higher place, a more enlightened perspective. Head clear, mind clear, heart clear, thinking, feeling, acting with self-assurance, feeling good all over, glad to be alive, ready to thrive. Number 5, take your time, come on back, notice how good you feel. That's one way to do it, right? Let's just remind everybody that The offer expires when the fast action bonuses expire when I log off the webinar. So make sure that you grab yours before it's too late. And just to remind you, it's the Secrets of Human Influence home study course. It's a $2,479 value. Weapons of Mass Instruction home study course, $1,997 value. You get Renegade Reframing, the Art of Conversational Belief Change, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. Charisma and Conversion, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. The NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597 value, absolutely free. Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value, free. And of course, the amazing, all-powerful Killer Influence VIP Super Ticket, 5-day conversational hypnosis certification boot camp, live training, $2,250 value, January 24th to the 28th, live in Las Vegas at the Orleans Hotel and Casino, absolutely free. Total package value, $13,325. You can get it all for one small, measly one-time investment of $997. Or if you need help, we can break that into 3 easy payments, 3 easy installments of just $397. All you've got to do to get yours right now is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. www.killerinfluence.com/go. G-O. Okay. One more time with feeling. www.killerinfluence.com/go. Hold on a second. I got to restart my PowerPoint here. Hate when I do that. Sometimes things happen. Okay, that's good enough. All right. www.killerinfluence.com/go in case my PowerPoint blipped off too fast for you there. Let's go back to, let me stop sharing the screen for a moment. What else you want to learn about? What'd you guys think of that? Did you get something out of that? Power to you, Eddie. Right on. I feel so large that if I try to move, I'll scrape the walls. I love that. My neck cracked and something released. That was amazing. Thank you. You are very welcome. Again, these are the powers. Here's something I want you to, this is going to sound kind of weird coming from me, but maybe not. There's nothing special about me, guys and gals. Nothing. There's nothing that I'm doing with you today that you can't learn to do. Seriously, I'm giving it all out there. There are secrets. I'll be honest. There are secrets, but I'm not going to hold them back. Everything you've experienced with me, you can do for yourself, and you can do it for others. If it's something you want to do. Not everybody wants to wear cool vests like this, right? But it's all learnable. It's fast, it's effective, it will change your life. You can't go back to being asleep after this. But I can't help you if I don't get in front of you either virtually or in person. So please, if you're experiencing the power of what we're doing, you owe it to yourself to click that link, get into the course, get into the live training, and let me work personally with you, right? Just click the link. If you have questions, we'll answer it, right? But I want to know right now, because we have a little bit of time left, what else do you want to know about? What else do you want to learn about? I'm looking here, but all I see is the people are still recovering from the induction. That's all right. Edie said, is there going to be a replay? Yes. In fact, probably within an hour after this video is over, YouTube should have something available to you. Lori Tittman says, I boldly went where I've never gone before. Perfect. Teresa Soto, thank you, David. Kelly Bader says, yes, there is. Edie says, yes, here's a link. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Kelly Bader says, you are very special. Thank you. That's very sweet. That is the beauty of it. We get to see the theory in act. Absolutely. Absolutely. David, I will send an email. Okay. Faith, release resistance to persuasion, please. Okay. Teach woo-woo stuff. This is not the place, Kevin. Some suggestions of people who do not visualize and cannot practice my hypnosis. Okay. Olivier, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. Can you elaborate on that? Are you like aphantasic that you can't see pictures, or is there something else going on? Helping people control their emotional states. Miriam, that technique I just gave you is exactly the same process I would use to help people train emotional states. So you could literally take that process and change the emotional content of it and do the exact same thing. The fastest way to change your emotional state is to change your posture and change your breathing. Okay. Let's see here. Release resistance to persuasion, please. Okay, you guys want to learn how to get past resistance? Yes or yes? Can you start using the light switch technique with your own suggestions? Yes, you can. I would recommend that you focus on suggestions that enhance your ability to do the light switch technique. But yeah, you can theoretically do that. That was Moss asking. Okay. We love woo-woo. We have other trainings for woo, trust me. Miriam says, excellent. That's what I was hoping. Yes. Yes and yes, yes and yes, yes and yes. Oh, it's okay. We'll go with resistance. So Trevor says, I want to expand my knowledge with repressed emotions other than hypnotherapy knowledge I already have. Trauma resolution will do that. It's going to teach you both classical regression skills and the holographic memory theory that we use to teach light-based regression techniques. Very powerful stuff. Really, really powerful. Okay, so Olivier says, I cannot see pictures in my mind, neither remember. That's fine. That sounds like aphantasia to me. So it's very simple. Can you remember sounds? Can you remember smells and tastes and feelings? Just use those. That's it. You have 5 cortexes in your brain. You don't need to do pictures. I had one lady, she was olfactory. You tried to do a picture, she couldn't do it. You start having her apply smells to things. It was like dynamite. Right. Remember, I use the visual system because it's the most common. It takes up the greatest amount of real estate in the brain, but you have 4 others and they're just as powerful. You just got to choose to do them. Most people default to the visual system, right? So close your eyes, focus on smells, sounds, tastes, and feelings. And you can do every single thing that we did with the visual. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. I had a client, not a client, but a student who came to our regression training just this past month in Las Vegas. And her husband was in the class, and I was talking about something called deathbed therapy. How you deal with, whoops, I just lost my mom. Hold on a second. I'm getting too old for this, guys. There we go. Okay. You see, I'm very natural in front of the camera. Anyway, so the student is, I'm talking about deathbed therapy, which is a way to help people get over grief from the loss of a loved one. Many times this is because the person died with things left unsaid, unresolved, what have you. Sometimes it's just a person needs a way to say goodbye again. Right? So there's lots of different reasons to do deathbed therapy, but most of the time it's because there's something that was left unsaid. And so as I'm describing this process and how it works, Darren was his name. He came up and said, she's not part of the class, but I think my wife could really benefit from this technique. Would you be willing to do it on her? And I looked at him and I said, well, if she would be willing to be a demo subject for the class, that I'd be happy to work with her in that context. And he says, I'll go talk to her. And he came back to me the next that evening. He said, I talked to her and she said she's a little nervous, but she said, okay. So I get her up on stage and we start going through. Actually, one of the things that happened was before we got to the deathbed therapy, which wound up going in a completely different direction, but there's a moral behind this. As I'm guiding, she was surrounded by people she didn't know. So I wanted her to start to feel comfortable in the class. And so I started running the class through exercises and drills, kind of like the thing we did. And she was feeling it, but she wasn't really in it, so to speak. And after talking to her a little bit, I think I actually brought her up and did this. I said, well, she wasn't getting a lot from the pictures, right? And I said, well, listen to it. Like there was a feeling she wanted to get rid of. I said, well, listen to it. What sound is it making? And she starts describing the sound. And I said, if your higher mind, your unconscious mind, could send you a sound, a frequency, a vibration, a feeling that would completely neutralize that other sound, that other feeling in your tummy, what sound and vibration and feeling might it send you? And she actually said, I said, play that sound through the other sound and notice what happens. And she went, oh, wow, it's gone, right? So what I want you to really, again, it doesn't matter what your sensor array is. If you're not visual or you have a neurological issue that prevents you from using just use something else. Because I promise you, if your visual system is compromised, the other four cortexes are going to amplify their sensitivity and become more powerful, right? It's just how we're designed. So the mechanics are the same. It's just you change the sensory modality and you can get a very powerful effect. Okay. I had one lady, we were doing pleasure conditioning through pleasure. And we were doing a submodality intervention. We're playing with pictures. You guys might have seen that. And she was having a really strong responses. And I said, now turn up the sound. She went, whoa! And she had an orgasm right in the middle of the room, right? You have this power inside of you. It's just nobody's taught you how to tap into it. And sometimes when you're presented with a technique, if it's asking you to use a sensory modality that you're not good at, you think you can't do it. But you can. You just change the cortex of the brain that you're using, right? Does that make sense? Is that useful? Let me know. Otherwise, I'll just shut up. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about resistance to persuasion. Every now and then, you're going to run up against someone who doesn't want to do what you want them to do. Usually because you haven't run the emotional bonding checklist or the universal persuasion protocol on them. But every now and then, people are going to be in a situation or circumstance where they just don't want, they just don't want to do what you want them to do. We have a process called the resistance removal formula. And this is a conversational framework that causes people to instantly generate their own reasons for wanting to do the exact thing they just told you they didn't want to do. Okay, it's really simple. Let me just, I want to erase some of my highlights here, so it's not all messy. All right, I think that's as good as I'm going to get. Let me share my screen. Faith says that is magic. It can be. Let me tell you something. There is magic in the world, but the magic is in you. You bring the magic. You are the magic. It's just that nobody's taught you how to get to it. But it's there. It's been with you since before you were born. And if you have the map to the nervous system and you understand the dynamics, you can create pretty much any change you want, right? So are we ready to work with, let me see, we've got people with raised hands here. These are all the same questions. Okay. You guys ready to play with resistance a little bit? Yes or yes? Excellent. All right. So the way this works is when somebody says, I don't want to do something, the first thing you have to do is restore their sense of personal autonomy. In other words, there's a type of resistance people have called reactance. Reactance is, I call it the fuck you factor. It's this initial hesitance or the digging in of the heels or the pushback that we experience anytime we perceive an attempt at being influenced that we didn't ask for. So if I get somebody who's big and strong up here and I do this, and I give them a push, their first instinct is to either root down or push back. That's reactance. It doesn't matter what my intentions are. If I try to influence somebody that in a way that they didn't, ever try to give somebody your advice that they didn't ask for, right? Was it accepted eagerly, or did they just smile, say thank you, and basically do what they were going to do anyway? Right. So exactly, this is a very common phenomenon. So one of the things you have to understand is that most people, when you try to convince them to do something they don't want to do, realize you're trying to convince them to do something they don't want to do. Right. We call that a loss of personal autonomy. So the first thing that you have to do to get somebody to legitimately, sincerely generate a valid reason for wanting to do the thing they just said they didn't want to do is you have to actually make it okay for them not to want to do it. You have to restore their sense of freedom, of choice, and autonomy. And you have to convince them that you're on their side. Okay? So a lot of times people will come in, every now and then I get someone who wants to quit smoking or quit marijuana, but they're not there because they want to quit. They're there because somebody in their immediate family wants them to quit, or their doctor wants them to quit, or their sister wants them, and they're just busting their stones to get them to quit. Right? So the first thing you have to do is you have to say, hey, doors closed. If you don't want to quit smoking, I'm okay with that. In fact, when those doors close, and it's just you and me, I'm your advocate. I'm your friend. I'm here to help you get what you want. Not what your mother wants, not what your wife wants, not what your kids want, or your boss wants, or your doctor wants. I'm here to help you get what you want. If you don't want to quit smoking, I support that. In fact, I'll help you enjoy smoking more. Right? If you want to just sit here and look at me for an hour and make people think that it didn't work, I'll do that for you too. Right? If you don't want to quit, I'm not here to make you do anything you don't want to do. But I am curious about something. Seriously. I mean this in all honesty. If you were to want to quit smoking, right? Not for your mother's reasons or your wife's reasons or the bullshit reasons your doctor's giving you or your kids. If you were to want to quit smoking for your own reasons, honestly, why might you want to quit smoking? Why might you want to do that? And they'll say, for real? Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, it is kind of expensive. And when I play with my grandkids, I do kind of get short of breath. It'd be nice to be able to, play and not want to pass out. So it's kind of expensive, and you get kind of short of breath when you play with your kids, and it'd be nice not to pass out. Is that right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's cool. So let me ask you a question, just so I understand you better. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to play with your grandkids without getting, winded? Oh, dude, like 6. Really? 6? Why so much? Why didn't you rate that less? Why do you want that so much? Well, because it's my lungs, man. It's my kid, my grandkids. I love them. I want to play with them. I want to be there for them. I want to be around when they graduate from college. Not being a fucking ground. Duh. Cool. So I'm curious. What's the next step you and I need to take to move that forward? How soon do you want to get started? All right. I guess we go ahead and do the session and get this done. Let's do this. Got it? The first step in getting people to want to do what they just said they don't want to do is to make it okay for them to not want to do it and convince them of it. If you don't do that, You're going to paint every word that comes out of your mouth as having an agenda. Okay? Would you guys like to play with this a little bit with me? Yes or yes? Okay. So, but before we do the next group exercise, I just want to remind you that this is the last call. Okay. For those of you who are on the fence, this, by the way, we teach this in the Killer Influence training. For those of you who are on the fence, this is the last call for the fast action bonuses and all the goodies that go with it. This is the Secrets of Human Influence home study course. It's a $2,479 value before we add in all the free bonuses. Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscience and Storytelling Secrets, $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. Renegade Reframing the Art of Conversational Belief Change, $1,997 value. We're giving it to you free. Charisma and Conversion, $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. The NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program and 11-year training archive, $1,597 value. We're going to give it to you free. Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value. We're going to give it to you free. And of course, for those of you who want the real deal, you want to functionalize, embody all of this, get thee to the Killer Influence VIP 5-day covert hypnosis certification bootcamp. We're giving you a free VIP ticket. It's a $2,250 value, and it's absolutely free. If you can't make the January training, let us know. We'll move you to the next one. If you can make it, we're going to give you a front row seat, and you can absorb this material like it's nobody's business. Total package value, $13,325. You get it all today, right now, for one small investment of $997. And if you need help, you need a little extra time, you can break that into 3 easy installments at just $397. All you got to do right now is click that link, www.killerinfluence.com/go. www.killerinfluence.com/go. One more time with feeling, www.killerinfluence.com/go. When I log off the webinar, the fast action bonuses, the VIP ticket, the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring trial, they go away. The rest are available until 11:59 p.m. tonight, but you miss out on the ticket. So if you want it, click it now. Get in there. If the line's busy or the website's taking a little too long, keep clicking and call Stephanie at 858-282-4663 so she can get back to you. Now, as we do this, we're gonna do this exercise together. Okay? So you can think of something that ordinarily you don't want to do. Okay? Or think about what's holding you back from clicking that link and getting this course for yourself right now. I want you to close your eyes and realize that I'm on your side. That whatever you want to do, I'm going to support that, right? If you want to work on something that you've been procrastinating on because you simply don't want to do it in your life, I'm going to support your ability to not do it. I support you, right? If you don't want to buy this course, I support you in that, right? But I am curious as you think about it. If you were to want to do the thing that you've been telling yourself and everybody else that you really don't want to do for your reasons, not mine, not the chat people's, not your mom, not your dad, not your sister, not your brother, not your wife, not your kids. If you were to want to do it for your own selfish reasons, why might you want to do that? Answer that out loud for me. You don't have to type it in the chat. Just answer it out loud. Why might you want to do that? And I'm curious, so I understand you better. If you were to want to do that, I'm curious, on a scale of 0 to 10, why might you want to do that? Just say it out loud. And I have to ask, why so much? Why is this so important to you? Why didn't you rate it less? Notice what happens in your mind. as you speak the reason. And thinking about it like that, what's the next step you need to take to get moving on that? Type in the chat what you noticed as you went through that process. What'd you notice? What happened to your desire to not do it? What happened to your desire to do it? Resistance went to 0. Okay. Anybody else? You all processing? I'm doing an all-nighter now. Esty says, I'm so psyched and enthusiastic now. I always find so much value in anything you offer, Dr. David. Teresa says, I'm feeling very fidgety. Ah, there you go. What happened to your desire to do the thing you just, regardless of how low the number was, when you named it and then you had to defend your reason for why it was so much? What happened to your desire to do it? How many of you noticed that your desire went up? Anybody? So the sequence is very simple. If you restore personal autonomy, it shot through the roof. Teresa, what's happening to me? You're playing with your magic. That's a good thing. Now click the link, right? If you were to, so the protocol, I'll just show it to you. We'll read it to you, and then we'll put a cherry on tonight's Sunday. This is what the protocol looks like. And again, we teach this far more in depth with a lot more variations in the killer influence training. So first of all, you got to neutralize reactants. You do that by restoring personal autonomy. The protocol is if you were to want to do X, whatever X is, why might you want to do that? And then what do you do? Master echo sequence. Validate, echo, ask again. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? They're going to give you a number from 1 to 10. Oops. Okay. What do? You echo, validate, and ask again. 10 or 9. Wow, that's amazing. Why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? They're going to give you a reason. You validate, you echo, you soften. So I'm curious. Why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? Whatever they say, you validate, you echo, you ask again. What's the next step we need to take to move forward? Whatever they say, you validate, you echo, you ask again. How soon do you want to get started? So there's your protocol right there. This is a protocol that will easily allow you, let me make it even smaller, that will easily allow you to turn things that people do not want to do, things that they've said they do not want to do, and have them generate a reason that they will accept for why they would want to do it. It feels like embedded commands, but it's not. It's not embedded commands at all. But it is reactance. It's reactance in the direction you want them to go. Okay, remember, and this is the most important thing, and we'll talk about this more in killer influence. Remember, the rationalization that gets challenged only grows stronger. So if I try to argue and logic you into something, I may beat you into rhetorical submission, but I won't capture your heart. Your heart will not be in what I want you to do. And so you'll get passive aggressive behaviors, reactance, foot dragging, buyer's remorse, you name it. When you apply this process, you're actually flipping the script on a natural resistance and reactance mechanism. When people generate a rationale for why they might want to do something, even if it was something they said they didn't want to do, the moment they have to defend it, their desire to hold on to that point of view goes stronger. It's like reframing, but you're using the reactive mechanism inherent in the autonomic nervous system to flip the script on them. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions about anything we covered tonight? Has this been useful? Helpful? All right. Well, I want to thank you all for coming. This is your last chance to click that link. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. POTS. What's this going on? Have you ever had someone with POTS? It sounds familiar. I think I'm thinking of Crips. What does POTS stand for, Jerry? All right. All right, very good. All right, so listen, in the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Good night, my friends. God bless. Click that link. Meet me in Vegas. Meet me online, and let's kick some persuasion ass. Good night. God bless. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/